Ciao and good evening to all of you butt fumblers out there who are ready for Thursday night football between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Football Giants. Welcome in everybody to our show. Butt Fumble Sports is live on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and on X. No Instagram while we're overseas, as I've talked about before, but we are back for another episode of the show to talk through our fantasy football advice, our obvious picks for Thursday night football, and to tease a few picks that we have for Sunday. I am so freaking pumped to be with you guys. I am so excited now. Did I just have a great meal at a great restaurant here in Rome? Yes, which means my sugar level is up, my energy level is up, and my brain is fully working at full functioning power to help you guys out in any way possible. It is so great to talk sports with you guys. If I don't say it enough, talking sports with you real fans out there is the highlight of my day every single day. I hope we bring you guys a lot of good information, a lot of good advice, and hopefully we entertain you throughout the show. Make sure you throw your questions and your comments in the chat, because that's why we're here, everybody. We are here for you to answer your questions, get you ready for week 4, and hopefully set you up for a lot of fantasy football wins, and maybe put some money in your pocket if we can find some good sports bets as well. We're going to jump into everything that we need to cover. Make sure you guys follow along. Hit that follow button where you can. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk football with you guys for the next 2 hours. I promised you guys yesterday I would go 2 full hours of talking football. That's what we're going to do. So make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you're with us, because we are live for the next 2 hours, everybody. Let's go. Luke, you get the honor of the first question. Luke, Neighbors or Godwin? Really tough for me. Godwin's questionable right now, and that is a little bit concerning to me. Overall, Godwin's matchup this week with the Denver Broncos going up against, the Denver Broncos going up against the New York Jets. I do feel like Godwin's got the slightly better matchup than Mike Evans, just given Sauce Gardner is going to be on Evans, but I still like Neighbors more, Luke. Neighbors is going to be the play for me, just barely there. Very, very close, but I will go with Neighbors, just barely over the Jets. Jets, 4th best pass defense right now in the NFL. Dallas Cowboys, they're middle of the pack. So Luke, I'll go Neighbors just barely. Cookie Monster, Singletary or Henry is a very tough question for me. I think Henry scores an anytime touchdown, teasing that player prop bet that you're going to find in our newsletter come Sunday morning. I do like Derrick Henry on an anytime touchdown, but in terms of overall fantasy points, I kind of lean towards Singletary a little bit. Singletary has the better matchup. Buffalo Bills are a top 10 run defense so far this year. I don't think Derrick Henry reaches 55 rushing yards. I don't know if he reaches 50 rushing yards. Think he finds the end zone, but I don't like his overall production. Singletary has the best matchup of the week of running backs, so I'm pretty high on that overall. I lean just slightly, I think, towards taking the Singletary matchup. Though it doesn't look good, it's the better play. Matthew got offered Marvin Harrison Jr. and Stafford for Josh Allen. I'm okay with it. I don't love it. Josh Allen's looking like an MVP candidate, but the reason I actually am okay with it is Josh Allen's not running for touchdowns like he was last year. So even though his stats from an MVP standpoint look amazing, from a fantasy standpoint, he's actually not as good actually as we projected him to be, because those rushing touchdowns, they're going to James Cook, they're not going to Josh Allen. Matthew, I like the trade. I don't love it. If you really need an upgraded wide receiver, I would do it. Otherwise, maybe hold off, but overall, I think it's fair. Luperio, Kyler, or Jaden Daniels. This is a really tough one for me. I'm going to go Kyler Murray because the Washington Commanders' pass defense has been so bad this year, but you could certainly talk me into Jaden Daniels if you don't have Kyler Murray. So for those owners out there who have Jaden Daniels, I'm not saying no to him, but the question was Jaden Daniels or Kyler Murray. I'll go Kyler Murray out of that one. JP, should I drop Mostert for Shakir? Yes. JP, yes I would. Shakir right now is one of the most overlooked, underrated wide receivers in the NFL. Foley too. Ayuk or Montgomery in the flex. This is a tough one for me. Detroit Lions going up against the Seattle Seahawks this week, rather. Brian, thank you so much. So far, Seahawks are a pretty good defense overall. I know they're not as good against the run as they are against the pass, but for the moment, I'm leaning on your question. I lean just slightly towards Ayuk, even though I don't love the matchup against the cornerback of the Patriots in Christian Gonzalez. I think I'd go Ayuk over Montgomery just barely. Patriots giving up a lot of passing yards. We got some confetti, so I'm going to give out a pick. You guys know how we do. Every time we get a TikTok subscriber or every time we get some live goal confetti, we're going to give out a pick throughout the show. I have player prop bets to give out. I have game picks to give out. First pick I'll give out, Cowboys on the money line. I'll get the easy one out of the way. We're all thinking it already. We're all buying into it already, unless we're a true blue Giants fan. I'm taking Cowboys on the money line. Let's get the obvious one out of the way, and then we'll move on from there. Next confetti or next subscriber on TikTok, you get another pick. Tyler Ola, I'm very scared to start Singletary today. Please convince me. Tyler, I'm not going to try and hold your hand. I like Singletary tonight. If you need someone to hold your hand, call mommy. Kike is Quab. I got offered K9 for ETN, except, which side are you getting? I like K9 more when he's fully healthy, but he's not fully healthy. He's coming back, but I'm a little concerned about it. So Kike is Guap, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not high on ETN. I'm not that high on K9 until he's fully healthy. I think I'd rather have K9, though, rest of season. Don Roman, Browns or Dolphins defense? For the moment, I'm leaning just slightly, I think, towards the Browns or Dolphins defense. Right now, I'm going to lean towards the Browns. I'm going to lean towards the Browns because the Raiders, let me flip that around. I'm checking out the points. You know what? Go Dolphins. Go Dolphins on the play. Trust Will Levis is going to make a mistake. I'll take the Miami Dolphins defense out of that group because I like the matchup against Will Levis. Appreciate the question. Ricky, should I start Leggett, Odunze, McLaurin, or Javonte? Out of that group, Odunze probably has the best matchup. I think I like McLaurin maybe a little bit more. I go McLaurin 1, Odunze 2. Tyler Ola, Singletary or JT? Man, that is a question I've been asking myself all day. If you look at the projections, Jonathan Taylor is the better play. If you look at the matchup, Singletary is the better play. In all good conscience, I can't sit JT, so I put him in my lineup, but I wish I could start both, Tyler, but I was dealing with that same problem earlier today. I lean towards JT, not because the matchup, because the name. That usually backfires. So if you want to fade my advice on that one, I get it. But I'm going to ride with the brand name of JT over Singletary, even though the matchup favors Singletary. Wingman, trade Nico for Montgomery. If you really need a running back, yes. But I think Nico Collins is going to have a really strong second half of the year. By the way, we're not even in the second half. I think he's going to have a good year. Cookie Monster, Singletary or Henry? Singletary, Cookie Monster, Singletary. Christian Silva, start Keenan Allen or Deontay Johnson. Christian Silva, I'm going to go Keenan Allen. Sounds like Keenan Allen's fully healthy and back. Drizzy, trade Flowers and Jennings for Ayuk? No, I don't think so. In part because I don't know what Ayuk's value is compared to a Flowers. I think it's slightly better. Slightly better. So if you feel like because you're giving up Jennings and you're willing to throw him away and the trade's really Flowers for Ayuk, fine, I think that's an upgrade. But Jennings is showing something, and I don't think he's going to go away from this offense as quickly as we might have first thought. So Drizzy, I'm okay with it, but personally, I'd probably hold on to the Flowers-Jennings side. Brent, 2 wide receivers this week. If A.J. Brown plays, I would take A.J. Brown. If A.J. Brown plays, I'll take A.J. Brown, and I'll take Zay Flowers. Flowers and Brown would be the play for me. Would love to take Evans, but as I mentioned, that matchup is not a good one for him. As the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, sorry. Man, I must have looked at the wrong thing. The Bucks is a decent matchup. They're playing, Bucks are a decent matchup. They're playing the Eagles, so sorry about that. Slip there. I would play A.J. Brown and Mike Evans. Brent, I play A.J. Brown and I play Mike Evans. Zay Flowers would be the third option out of that group. Don Roman, I would probably sit Hill out of that group. You may not want to. That's who I would sit. If you want to sit Jennings, I get it, though. Bob Jeff Supreme, I traded Breece Hall, Smith, Javonte Williams, and P. Ryan for MHJ, Reed, Etienne, Chuba Hubbard. Did I win the trade? I'll say yes, just barely. I do think you got the better of it just barely. Appreciate the question. Andre, Singletary or Moss at the flex? Great question. Good matchup for the Bengals, good matchup for the Giants. So both players could really have a monster day. But I got to go Singletary. He's got the better matchup, and he's a clear-cut number one. I do think this could be a week in which Chase Brown, the backup running back from the Bengals, pops a little bit. That maybe takes down the value of Moss just a tad. I'll take Singletary over Moss, Andres. Owen, do I start Garrett Wilson? It depends on who your other wide receivers are. I understand why you don't like the matchup against Patrick Surtain II, but I'm leaning towards playing him because Aaron Rodgers force feeds him the football. I think he's going to continue to, especially in the red zone. Tristan Rosa, trade Mixon, Higgins, and Irving for Kyler Murray, Flowers, and Najee. Yes, I would do that deal because I really like the Kyler side. Flowers has value. Najee, I'm on the fence about. I'd rather have Bucky Irving than Najee, but the Kyler and Flowers side I'm very high on. Frankly, if you could trade Mixon and Higgins for Kyler and Flowers, it's kind of an interesting move. I'd hold on to Irving if I could. Colton, Jennings or Moody in a flex spot. I'm going to take Jennings just barely. Has to do with the pass defense he's facing. Patriots have really struggled. The matchup this week for the Atlanta Falcons is against the New Orleans Saints. Saints aren't as bad a pass defense as the Patriots. Colton, I'll take Jennings over Moody, though I do like Mooney for those who are looking at him. Dylan, trade Ayuk for Scary Terry. Nope, wouldn't do that. I think that's a bit of I think they have similar value, but right now I trust Ayuk a little bit more. I'm not going to overreact to Scary Terry having a good Monday Night Football game. I think his value is going up. I like him for the rest of the season. I like Ayuk more. Drew, 7382, would you drop Josh Downs for Odunze? Yes, Drew, I would drop him. Tyler, the Creator, Garrett Wilson for JSN and Dell. Ooh, that's a really good question. The answer is I like it if you're banking on some injuries. If you think that a member of the Houston Texans receiving core gets hurt and Dell slots up, I like it. If you think JSN is that clear-cut number 2, I like it. But you are trading a clear-cut number 1 for a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 3. Do I love it? I'm okay with it because you're getting depth. But understand, you're not going to be able to slot in that wide receiver 1 like you were before. And Garrett Wilson's value hasn't kicked in yet. So you are going to lose out on the best weeks of him. Sean, I traded Chase, Connor, and Daniels for JJ, Bijan, and Mahomes. Won it. Sean, you won the trade. I love Jaden Daniels. I really like Jamar Chase. I really like James Conner. But you won that trade, no doubt. Kobe, Higgins, Diggs, Jennings, Pickens. Which guy would I go with for this week? I'm leaning just slightly towards Jennings, just barely. Keith, full PPR sit 1, Cooper, Wilson, London, Deontay Johnson. So a lot of people are trying to sell me on Deontay Johnson, and he had a really good game last week. Cincinnati Bengals pass defense is pretty good. I'll sit Deontay Johnson. Adam just threw some more confetti up in the air. We got to give out another pick for everybody. So our next pick that lands on the board, I'm going to take the under tonight. I know. A lot of people are trying to sell the over with various trends or things like that. I'm going to take the under tonight. I'm taking Cowboys money line, and I'm going to take the under. Now, I'm going to buy it for 1 unit at the 46, 45 and a half under, but for a lot of the tickets I'll be betting, I'm going to take under 49 and a half. I'll do a same game parlay, Cowboys money line, and under 49 and a half. That'll put me in some good plus money territory. That's a same game parlay that I'm doing. If you want more picks that I'm making for tonight's game, throw some confetti in the air or become a subscriber on TikTok. Those 2 things happen. We give out more picks. I have player prop bets still yet to go. The spread is an interesting one. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but thus far, the 2 picks I've given out, Cowboys money line and the under, I'm taking under 49 and a half for you same game parlay bettors. Gabe, Achan or Mixon? Well, I don't know Mixon's health status, so I'm going to lean towards Achan. He's been a RB1 so far this year. The matchup against the Tennessee Titans is concerning. Tennessee is a top 3 pass defense, but against the run, not as good. So I like the matchup there. I'll take Achan over Mixon, Gabe. Achan over Mixon. Brett, Aaron Jones or David Montgomery? Green Bay Packers run defense so far this year? Pretty good. Pretty good run defense. Meanwhile, the Detroit Lions going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's run defense not quite as good. I'll take Montgomery barely, but if you want to play Jones in a revenge game against the Packers, I totally get it. Some people love playing those revenge games. I'm playing the matchup a little bit more, so I'm playing Montgomery, but I get it if you want to play Jones for the revenge factor. Glory, Gesicki or Ertz? I'm just out on Ertz. I don't know why I'm trying. Did Ertz do anything last game? Did I miss something? So far this year, has he really performed? Has he really done anything? Really quick. 5 catches, 38 yards, 4 catches, 62. He doesn't have a touchdown. His biggest game was 62 yards. 5 catches was his most receptions. I'm just not that high on him. I think I'm higher on Gesicki. I know he didn't deliver last game like I may have wanted. I'm just not there with Ertz. So I'll go Gesicki and I'll go Adunze. Gesicki and Adunze. LG Jordan, I'd go Pitts. LG Jordan, I'd go Kyle Pitts. User 77, Bijan Robinson. User 7737, Bijan Robinson. Jason Patrick Sr., Dallas defense or Vikings defense? Great question. Minnesota Vikings this week. Going up against the Green Bay Packers. I think a lot of it is determined by who the quarterback is for the Packers. Is it Jordan Love? Is it Malik Willis? You're not going to be able to know that, obviously, until after Thursday night, so you got to make a decision. I'm going to take the Vikings defense. They've been better. Dallas defense has been really bad. Maybe they bounce back against a division rival, but I'll take the Vikings. I'll take what I've seen rather than kind of reaching in the dark and hoping I land on something with the Dallas defense. Going back to our old line about the mystery box with Family Guy, the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat, you know? So, yeah, it's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. The Dallas defense could be a good defense, but we know what the Vikings defense is. I'll take Vikings. Brant C, start 2. Brant C, if A.J. Brown is healthy, I'm taking A.J. Brown. If Brown is healthy, I'm taking Brown. And out of that other group, if Debo's healthy, I'll go Debo. But is Debo going to be back? I'm not sure about that. A little bit of concern there. I don't love Dobbins this week. I guess it'd be Garrett Wilson. If Debo's not back, it's A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson. Appreciate the question. We will take callers in the second hour tonight. So first hour is going to be all written questions. Second hour is going to be callers. So if you're waiting online, if you're waiting to be a guest or a caller, come back in 45 minutes. I want to answer written questions for a while, give folks who don't have the opportunity to come on as a guest plenty of time to get their question answered. But if you want to join as a guest, come back. It's going to be midnight my time. That makes it 6 o'clock your time, I think. Cody Meyerson, dog, no question. Start him. Oh, dog, what do you think of Lamb today? Oh, you got to start Lamb. Yeah, Cody Meyerson gave you really good advice there. You got to start CeeDee Lamb, no doubt about it. Appreciate it. Let's go to Lucifer. I'd go Ford. Lucifer, I'd go Ford. Playboy, 49.5 points game tonight. I'm taking the under. I'm taking under 49.5 points tonight. For all those that are aware of it, the total for this game is at like 45, 46. I'm willing to take the under on that, but in a one-unit bet, most of my bets will be around under 49.5. JP, what are your thoughts on Mark Andrews' rest of season? Very questionable. I think he's going to have some solid games. I still think he's the number 1 tight end in that offense, but frankly, I am worried about the fact that he just doesn't look like his old self. Maybe that injury took more out of him than we're thinking about. Ricky, who should I drop for Shakir? Oh, I drop likely. Not even a question. Oscar Mayer, likely or Kmet? Great question. I'll go Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet just barely. Maverick, trade Ingram for Kelsey. Yes, if I could get Kelsey, I would rather make the bet that Kelsey will rebound rest of year than he completely falls off a cliff. Brent, I would go Ford. Brent, I'll go Ford just barely over Pollard. It's close between the two, but I'll go Ford just barely over Pollard. Eric Anderson, pick 3. Eric, I'll go Mooney, I'll go Jennings, and I'm leaning, I think, for the moment towards... I'm leaning, I think, slightly towards Brian Thomas Jr., but do I really mean that? No. Jennings, Mooney, and I'll say Higgins. Jennings, Mooney, and Higgins. Eric, Jennings, Mooney, Higgins. Those will be the 3. Jaden, start Carson Steele. Jaden Ortiz, start Carson Steele. Najee, though, is a good play. I like Carson Steele a lot this week. Carson Steele would probably be the one out of that group. But if you started Najee, I'm okay with it. Colts are the second worst run defense in the league. I just think Jalen Warren might have the better game. But Jaden, I'm okay starting Najee if you want to. Personally, I'm leaning towards Steele, maybe barely. But it's a toss-up for me. You could talk me into starting Najee. Let's get back to the questions on TikTok for a bit. Dennis, start Richardson or Fields? I'm starting Fields. I love the rushing yards opportunity against the Colts. As mentioned, second worst run defense in the league. Landon Nettles. Should I start Wilson or Brian Robinson Jr.? I'm going to shock you. It's Brian Robinson Jr. Look out for that dude to get in the end zone. Brian Robinson Jr. anytime touchdown is one of the most consistent bets going right now. Brent, Ford, or Shakir? Man, it's tough. I really like both of them. I'm going to lean towards Shakir just barely because Ford splits carries, but boy, I like both of them this week. Under the radar, having to replace Dell as he's trending out. I'm moving Dallas Tolbert up from my bench in his place. Thoughts? Unless he gets you unless he gets you special teams points. Special teams points, though, you can't really rely on week to week. Brady, Kaufman, Kirk, Moss, and Stevenson. Trade away Tyreek. I need running backs bad. Yes, I would do it. Trade away Tyreek Hill. Maybe his value rebounds a little bit, but not to the extent that it was preseason. Get the running back value while you can. Jonathan, Dak, or Hurts? Oof. This is a tough one for me. I'm leaning slightly, I think, towards, frankly, I'm leaning slightly towards Hurts. The challenge for me is I don't know who his receivers are. Is A.J. Brown going to be healthy? Is Devontae Smith out with the concussion? So I lean towards Hurts because I like the matchup more. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're a bottom 10 pass defense so far, giving up about 233 pass yards per game. Giants' pass defense has been better. They're giving up only 186 pass yards per game. Dak could have a big night. I acknowledge that, but I'm going to lean towards Jalen Hurts a little bit. By the way, I saw a great stat earlier. Jalen Hurts in a revenge game, when he plays an opponent who beat him the last time he faced that opponent, I believe he's 19-6 against the spread. So Jalen Hurts very good at playing an opponent who beat him the last time they faced each other. I think Hurts bounces back this week. Damn dirty, great to see you. Trade Pollard for Braylon? No, you're giving up way too much value and not getting enough back. I understand Braylon Allen has some value, but he's a true backup. I think Pollard, I'd ask for Allen plus another player. Ferguson or Kincaid? I'd go Kincaid. Kincaid over Ferguson. Trade Rashee Rice for Justin Jefferson. Wow, great question. This is a really tough one for me. And the reason it's a really tough one is Justin Jefferson has been like the king of first halves. In the first half, he's scoring touchdowns. He's getting like 60 yards in the first half. Second half hasn't been as productive. Rashee Rice is the clear number one receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs right now. If I look at the two schedules, Minnesota Vikings over the next few weeks play the Jets, then a bye, then the Lions, then the Rams. They actually have a stretch of facing some lesser defenses when it comes to like week 7 and on. On the other side of this one, the Kansas City Chiefs, in their next few games, face the Saints, then they have a bye, then they play the 49ers, Raiders, Bucks, Broncos. Man, kind of interesting here. I think I'm leaning just slightly, towards Justin Jefferson, maybe barely, but I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a fair trade, and I like it overall for you. Username 129, I'd go Kenneth Walker. Username 129, I'd go Kenneth Walker. Inaki Sabak, I'd go Singletary. Singletary over Ramondre Stevenson. Singletary over Ramondre Stevenson. Lauren, Laporta, or Komet. I'd go Laporta. Just make sure he's healthy. He is listed as questionable as of right now. Peter, Evans, Montgomery, or Singletary in the flex. It's a tough one for me. Really tough. I want to say Singletary. I lean towards Evans, maybe barely, but I'll play Singletary. I'll play Singletary. The matchup's so good against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to overthink this. I'll go Singletary, though. It's too bad you can't get Evans in the lineup. Elijah, start 2. Terry, Jamo, JSN. Miami Dolphins. Sorry. The Detroit Lions, rather. I keep doing that because they're the two Monday night games. It's confusing me because I thought we weren't going to have back-to-back doubleheaders of Monday night games. So it's throwing me a little bit. But that said, JSN going up against the Lions pass defense. So far this year, Lions pass defense, middle of the road. Meanwhile, Seattle's defense has been outstanding. Number 1 pass defense in the league. Elijah, I'd go Scary Terry and JSN. I don't want Jamo this week. I'll go Scary Terry and JSN. Pat, I'd go Lazard over Wan'Dale Robinson, just barely. I don't really have much I can offer on that one, other than the fact that I like the connection that Aaron Rodgers has with Lazard. And I don't really want to take Wan'Dale Robinson. So Pat, I don't like either one. I think both are probably losing options for the week, but I probably think Lazard has a better chance of popping than Wan'Dale Robinson. Butthole, should I start Mark Andrews? Mark Andrews and the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Buffalo Bills. Bills' pass defense so far this year, pretty good overall. I would say avoid Mark Andrews and start someone else if you can. Mike, is Dowdle a start over Dobbins and Garrett Wilson? No. Garrett Wilson's a start over Dowdle. Dowdle, I don't understand what the fascination is with Dowdle. Like, I don't get it. He hasn't produced that much. He hasn't been that impressed. Like, I don't understand that. That's one of those names where I feel like that's someone who, like a Cowboys fan or someone who plays Madden who likes the player but doesn't really consider the context. I'm just not high on Dowdle like others are. Turco, trade Pollard, McBride, Devontae for Dobbins and Kelsey. Turco, that's a terrible trade. Don't do it. Turco, that's an awful trade. That's a dog of a trade. Don't do it, Turco. Aura, pick 2, Olave, Adams, Moore, and Ayuk. I'm going to go Olave and DJ Moore. Olave and DJ Moore would be the 2 for me. Chicago Bears this week, for those that are curious, going up against the Los Angeles Rams. Rams are a terrible pass defense. That's why I like DJ Moore as much as I do. If you told me Caleb Williams had his breakout game of his rookie season this week, would not surprise me at all. Rams pass defense, I feel like you're seeing the Rams pass defense is really missing Aaron Donald. They can't apply the pressure like they used to up front, up the middle, that really causes quarterbacks to kind of get off their kilter. I think they're having a much tougher time in the pass game in part because they can't get that front line rush like they used to. So I think Moore is a great play. I'd go Olave and Moore. Waylon, White or Steele. Is that Rashad White or Steele? I'm leaning, I think, maybe slightly towards Rashad White, just barely. Tampa Bay going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles run defense so far this year. Where are we at, Philly? Where are they? You know when you're like looking for a name? Their run defense isn't good, though. Their run defense isn't good. I still lean towards... I'm going to go Rashad White. Waylon, I'll go Rashad White. The matchup's better. I think I'm talking myself into Carson Steele a little bit too much this evening. Kareem Hunt's now on the roster. P. Ryan's on the roster. I'm going to go White. I'll go White over Steele. Pickens or Tyreek Hill? Pickens or Tyreek Hill? Well, in the passing yards department, Tennessee Titans are the 3rd best pass defense in the NFL. I expect Snead is going to be shadowing Tyreek Hill for the entirety of the game. I'll take George Pickens. Waylon, I'll take Pickens over Hill. Joseph, I don't have Giants on the money line. I'm taking Cowboys money line. Now, I understand everybody's going to be taking Cowboys on the money line. I'm okay with it. The trends back it. I'm a believer in the Cowboys tonight. Torta, Richardson or Steven? I don't know. I don't like 2 quarterback leagues, Torta. Go figure it out. Keyshawn. By the way, the only reason I'm sassy on those is like Richardson versus a wide receiver. I find those leagues to be nonsensical, so I don't know. I don't know how scoring's done in that league. Those are weird. If you're putting a quarterback in a flex, I'm not the guy for you. Keyshawn, Pittman, Wilson, or Judy at the flex. Man, tough matchup for Pittman. Pittman's got a good streak of receptions going. He's averaging about 4 or 5 receptions a game. Just don't like the matchup, though. I'll take him barely because I really don't trust Judy. Jerry Judy is just, I don't know. That said, the Raiders' pass defense is bad. So if you want to play Judy, I get it. But Keyshawn, I'm going to go Pittman, even though the matchup's not nearly as favorable. Cam, do I start Dallas defense or Browns? I'm starting Browns. I don't trust this Dallas defense so far. Lasky, Cooper, or Devin Singletary? Great question. Cleveland Browns, as mentioned, playing the Raiders. That one I like Amari Cooper. I'm going to lean just slightly towards Amari Cooper over Singletary. I think both have good games. Wish you could start both, but I'm actually going to start Amari Cooper over Singletary, though Singletary's facing the worst run defense in the league. Bob, trade Connor, Lockett, and Pierce for London Montgomery and Braylon Allen? Yes. Bob, I like the trade. Justin Rose, Cincinnati defense or Dallas defense? I'll take Cincinnati. Justin Rose, I'll take Cincinnati. Despite them playing so poorly on Monday night, I think they bounce back and play better. But I understand you're banking on the fact that D-line is going to perform better against the run specifically. Seabates, start 2. I say that because I feel like the passing defense of the Bengals has been okay statistically. It's the run defense that's very bad. Seabates, start 2. Seabates, I'd start Singletary I'd start Singletary. I'd start Singletary and James Conner. C. Bates, I'd start Singletary and James Conner. Those would be the two for me. Singletary and James Conner. Derek Stigler, start Wan'Dale Robinson, not if I could avoid it. Matt, I'd start Shakir over Ford barely. I like them both. I'll go Shakir barely over Ford. Charles, pick 3. Connor, Montgomery, Ayuk, Jennings, and JSN. Connor, Montgomery, and I'm leaning just slightly towards Jennings, but I shouldn't. It's going to be Ayuk. Even though he's got to go up against Christian Gonzalez, who's been elite, I want to take the number 1 wide receiver over the number 2. It's just a principle that I have. I rarely take the guy who's second on the depth chart over the guy who's number 1. So I'll take Connor, I'll take Montgomery, and I'll take Ayuk. Ben Wilson, start 2. Ben, I would start can't start James Cook this week. I'd start James Conner and David Montgomery. Ian, pick 1. I'd go Rachaad White just barely over Tank Dell. Ian, Rachaad White barely over Tank Dell. Kobe, give me some names. I'll pick from them. Fludga, pick 2. Waddle, Wilson, Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to go Brian Thomas Jr. and I'll go Wilson. I think I trust Aaron Rodgers more than Tyler Huntley or whoever the Dolphins are going to have at quarterback. I'll go Wilson. I'll go Thomas just barely. James Cook or Singletary. You got to go Singletary based on the matchup. Singletary. Appreciate you guys watching the show. If you're loving the content, take a quick second. Hit the follow button. Appreciate you guys being with us. Do me the favor if you could. Take one moment, hit the follow button. That way you never miss our show. You become a member of this amazing community. Really appreciate the support. When we get another TikTok subscriber or we get more live goal confetti, we're going to give out another player prop bet for tonight's game. So player prop bet coming with either a TikTok subscriber or a live goal confetti. Reversed, pick 2. Reversed, I'm going to lean towards Achan and Mason. Nuve DK. Oh, sorry, we missed on that. CMC out for a couple months. And Can, we know it. Mr. Plow, you like Kansas City defense this week? Yes, I do. Jaden Ortiz, I'd go, man, Jaden Ortiz, this is a really tough one for me. Singletary, Brian Robinson Jr. are 2 of my favorite running backs this week. I wish I could play both of them, but I can't, so I'm going to take Singletary just barely. I like Brian Robinson Jr., but not enough to overtake the matchup that Singletary has. So Brian Robinson Jr., the reason I like him so much is because the dude gets touchdowns. The dude finds the end zone, but I'm going to go Singletary on that one. Ricky, start DJ Moore. Isaiah, Nico Collins for Mason. I'm okay with it given McCaffrey is going to be out for a while. Cody Meyerson is trading away Pitts, Garrett Wilson, and James Cook for CeeDee Lamb and Brian Robinson Jr. Good? No, it is not a good trade. You're overvaluing CeeDee Lamb and you're not valuing James Cook enough. I don't like that trade. Nuve DK, Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet, or Mark Andrews. I'm going to lean towards Hunter Henry barely. Hunter Henry just barely. Lucas Rathwell, Miami defense or Titans defense? I'll go Miami for one reason. Will Levis Jr. Tyler Huntley, I don't like him, but Will Levis just is allergic to the football. I know he can make some plays, but I think it's a coin flip, Lucas, but I'll take Miami. I actually trust them, I think, a little bit more than Tennessee. I don't know. It's a coin flip, though. CJ Young, start 2. Gibbs, Montgomery, Rachaad White, Bucky, Irving, or Ford. I mean, the problem is you are overloaded on the same team. CJ Young, this is why you doubling up on players on the same backfield can actually hamstring you, because by having Bucky Irving and Rachaad White, I don't know who's going to have the better game. I'd probably say take Ford and take Gibbs out of that group, but I like Rachaad White, I like Bucky Irving, I like David Montgomery. CJ, I actually think you have too many running backs. I actually don't like your running back room. You have too many running backs and you almost over-handcuffed yourself. That's fine if someone gets hurt. If they don't, I think that makes your managing decisions really complicated overall. I like Ford this week. I think Ford's got a phenomenal matchup as the Cleveland Browns going up against the Raiders. Raiders' run defense this year is the 4th worst. I probably say Ford and Gibbs, but again, I think it's a really tough spot you put yourself in. Diego, do the trade. I like Ayuk. Diego, I like the trade. Emilio, start Ford. Emilio, start Ford. Is Kittle playing? I don't know yet, Mark. Still waiting on word. Xander Simmons, go Devin Singletary and Kyron Singletary. I almost said Kyrie Irving. I go Devin Singletary and Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams, the only reason I'm a believer in him is because the opportunity for touchdowns. He's been such a consistent touchdown play. That said, the Bears' run defense, it's middle of the pack, so I'm going to go Kyron, and I'm going to lean just slightly towards Devin, though. I think you got some good options there. R. Lopez, Bowers, or Kincaid? Oh, that's a tough one for me. With the Raiders going up against the Browns, I want to lean towards Dalton Kincaid. I know Bowers has been elite, but I think Kincaid's got the better matchup. John, Irving, or Stevenson? I'm going Bucky Irving, bud. John, I'm going Bucky Irving on that one. Bucky MC, Richardson, Goff, or Daniel Jones. Look out for Daniel Jones having a better game than I think people expect. I'm going to take Goff just barely. I'll take Goff. You know what? I'm not. Bucky MC, I'm taking Daniel Jones. Bucky MC, I'm going to take the gamble. I'm going to say Daniel Jones. Do I feel good about it? Hell no. But the rushing yards, he doesn't have the best matchup. I'm going to say Daniel Jones. Goff is going up against literally the best pass defense in the NFL. That's why, as much as I wanted to say Goff, I can't take him against Seattle. On the other side, Anthony Richardson, he's going up against the Steelers, the fifth best pass defense in the NFL. Cowboys pass defense, that's not as good. They're the worst run defense. Daniel Jones, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm playing Daniel Jones out of that group. Xander Simmons, Jaden Daniels, or Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has actually played pretty well. I don't think he's getting enough attention, but I'll take Jaden Daniels. I actually was curious if anyone can find this stat. I wanted to find it earlier, but I couldn't. Jaden Daniels won Offensive Rookie of the Year this past week for his performance on Monday night. I'm curious, what's the earliest in a NFL quarterback's career in their rookie season has someone won Offensive Rookie of the Year? Third week of his career, and he's won Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'd be really curious to know what other rookie quarterbacks have won Offensive Rookie of the Year this early in the year. I'm just curious about that stat, if anyone can find it out there. Harlan, I'm 2-1. Should I trade DK and Diggs for Achane and Kupp? Hell no. Hell no. I like the idea of getting Achane, but I wouldn't give up DK right now. DK looks like a monster. Diggs, if you could trade Diggs for Achane, I'd consider it, but I don't want to get Kupp right now. Mark, I'd go Ford over Steele. Ford over Steele. Tem Yalima, Purdy or Fields. That's a tricky one, but I'm going to go Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy over Fields barely. Xander, you got to start Lamb, buddy. You got to start CeeDee Lamb. And I'll say start DK Metcalf. Lamb and DK Metcalf. Nico Collins matchup this week, though. Nico Collins matchup for Houston against Jacksonville. I take it back. Lamb, Nico Collins. Xander Simmons, I'll go Lamb and Nico Collins. Lamb and Nico Collins would be the two. Reason I'm going CeeDee Lamb, I think he finds the end zone, everybody. That's one of the reasons I like him. Chris, trade Najee for Bucky Irving. The answer is yes, but Najee could have a good game this week, so you might want to wait and see if you could actually get even more value out of him. Just a thought. I think Bucky Irving's probably the better own. I think Bucky Irving is a running back on the rise, but Najee's going to have a good week. 7, panic on Achane yet. No, he's performing pretty well statistically. Ricardo Martinez, 0-3 in my league. Need help pretty please. Okay, Ricardo, we'll write your question in there. Like, I don't care about your record. I care about your question. Ben Wilson, Flex Wilson, Jones, or James Cook. Probably leaning Aaron Jones just barely out of that group. I mentioned it earlier. I don't like the matchup against the Green Bay Packers defense, but the revenge game kind of interests me more. James Cook, terrible matchup. Ravens are the best run defense in the league. And Tyreek Hill going up against the Tennessee Titans. I mentioned it before. Tennessee's the third best pass defense, and he'll be going up against Snead. I think I like Aaron Jones, Ben. Aaron Jones, Ben. Ferguson or Bowers? I'd go Bowers over Ferguson. Bowers over Ferguson. Kirk May is next up. Is this worth trading away? Atwell, Bucky Irving for Adams and Wilson. Yes, Kirk May. Yes, I do the trade. Yes, I do the trade. Waylon, trade Kenneth Walker III for Chris Godwin. I don't like giving up a running back for a wide receiver, especially a number 2 wide receiver on that team's depth chart. I probably wouldn't do it. If you're deep at running back and you're not deep at wide receiver, I get it. but I don't love this trade because I actually think more highly of Kenneth Walker the rest of the year than maybe others do. Brenna Ford, I'd go Trey McBride. The only issue, Brenna Ford, is Trey McBride is going through concussion protocol. So I like McBride more than Ferguson if the matchup is there, but you may need to have an insurance policy available if Trey McBride is ruled out because of concussion. But I'd be willing to actually risk it, though. Wes Wantland, Flowers, Olave, or Reed. Wes Wantland, I'll go Olave. Wes Wantland, I'll go with Olave. Terry McLaurin or T. Higgins overall, probably leaning just slightly towards Terry McLaurin. Panthers' pass defense is a little bit better than people think. That's one of the reasons I'm not as high on T. Higgins. Matchup for Terry McLaurin, I like just a little bit more, so I'll take Terry McLaurin just barely. Jason Singletary or White, I'll go Singletary. It's very close. Both have great matchups, but I'll go Singletary. Salsa, if AJ doesn't go, I need one to play. Jennings, B. Thomas, or Flowers? Great question. Jacksonville Jaguars are going up against the Houston Texans. Not a great matchup, so that's not the one for me. Jennings probably has the best matchup against the Patriots. Flowers and the Ravens going up against Buffalo. It's a pretty tough matchup overall. I'm going to lean towards Jennings. Salsa, I'll lean towards Jennings. Habibi, I'd go Darnell Mooney. I'd go Darnell Mooney. Nico is asking, should I trade Saquon for JT and Devontae Smith? Yes, I would do the trade. Saquon's value has been great so far, but I think JT's value is going to continue to be high. I like JT and getting Devontae Smith out of that. I love it. Diamonds, Hurts or Jaden Daniels? This is a really tricky one for me. I'm leaning towards Hurts. Jaden Daniels has been hot. Hurts, not so much. My only concern about taking Jalen Hurts, a lot of injuries on the Eagles right now. Is Devontae Smith out? Is A.J. Brown going to play? If A.J. Brown plays, I'll take Hurts. If A.J. Brown plays, I'll take Hurts. But, Diamonds, if A.J. Brown is out and Devontae Smith are out, I'd go Jaden Daniels. So I think it's about the weapons as much as it is about the quarterback. I love the matchup for Hurts, but I need at least one top-tier wide receiver on the field for him. So if Brown plays or Smith plays, I'll go Hurts. Garrett, Rome Odunze or Wan'Dale Robinson? I'll go Rome Odunze. Sean, pick one. I'd go Godwin. I'm going to go Godwin, Sean, just barely over Montgomery. Brian, start Singletary over Gibbs. It's the right play in terms of the matchup. Do I love it? It's a tough one for me, but the answer is yes. Singletary is the better play. Mike M, Dak or Joe Burrow? Good question. With Joe Burrow's matchup against Carolina, I think I like it a little bit more. I'll lean towards Joe Burrow over Dak barely. Do I feel great about it? Not really, though. I will admit that. We just got some confetti in the air, so we got to give out a pick for everybody. We are giving out a pick to say thank you guys for supporting the show. We've already given out Cowboys on the money line. We told you we're taking the under 49.5 at a same game parlay. Next pick I'm giving out, I mentioned it earlier, CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown. CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown. But I'll give you another one because I already mentioned that one a little bit earlier. I am taking Daniel Jones to reach 30 rushing yards. So Daniel Jones over 29.5 rushing yards. Just to repeat it, Daniel Jones over 29.5 rushing yards. I'll actually throw up my screen up on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and on X. So that way you can see my picks up on the big board, and that way you're not curious about them for the entire show. I'm taking Cowboys on the money line. I'm taking the under. I'm taking Cowboys and Giants. I'm taking it under 46.5 for the individual bet. But if I am going to do a same game parlay, my same game parlay would be Cowboys money line plus the under 49.5. And I just put up a player prop bet for you guys. I actually gave you two. CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown, and Daniel Jones over 29.5 rushing yards. That's Daniel Jones over 29.5 rushing yards. Those are the picks we put up on the big board so far. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, or on Twitter, you can see my big board screen, and that way you can see the picks that I have up there right now. Let's go back to your questions, everybody. Appreciate you joining the show. Lanny 1, Dak or Stroud? Appreciate the question. Dak or Stroud? That's a tough one for me. Sorry, I'm going to jump between the picks because I'm still looking and doing my research at the same time. So we're going to jump around a little bit. Houston's matchup this week is going up against Jacksonville. I gotta love CJ Stroud. Jacksonville's pass defense, god awful. So I'll take CJ Stroud on that one. CJ Stroud's gonna be the play for me, Lanny one. There you go. Jaden Ortiz, Amari Cooper. Jaden Ortiz, Amari Cooper. C.J. Young, I would go Jennings. Rohan Johnson has some interesting value right now, but it isn't where I'm going to go. I'm going to go Jennings. And out of that group, I'm not starting Charbonnet because Walker III, to your point, man, it's really interesting. The idea of taking Roschon Johnson. Bears, though, going up against the Rams. Rams' run defense so far this year. Rams' run defense is just as bad as their pass defense is. Man, Roschon Johnson, get on it. Taking Roschon Johnson in that one. So, C.J. Young, I'd go Jennings and Roschon Johnson. Who saw those two players being a good play in week 4? New DK, pick 2. I'd go Mike Evans. I'm going to lean towards Mooney. Mike Evans and Mooney. Splooby, think Nico going to miss Sunday's game. I'm waiting to see the injury report. I'm a little nervous, though. If he can play, he's a great start. If he can play, he's a great start. Cody, I'd go Reed over Quentin Johnston. Reed over Quentin Johnston. Appreciate the question. JP and Michael, I'm not going to answer those. I'm just going to keep the fantasy football questions for now. So forgive me for ignoring them, but I am ignoring them. SCF, I am taking calls in 17 minutes. We will take our first guest caller of the show on TikTok at 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Midnight my time right now in Rome. So in 17 minutes we will take calls, and we will take calls for a full hour. Full hour of calls for everyone. Lanny 1, I'm leaning towards Gibbs just barely. Nuve DK, Eckler is out. Eckler's out this week, so I really don't like the trade because you're trading for a player who literally is out with injury. Off-white only, I'd go Singletary. Off-white only, I'd go Singletary. Appreciate the question. Budget decor, I'm going to go Daniels. I love Stroud's matchup, but Daniels' rushing yards might be the difference. It's close. It's a coin flip between the two. I like them both, but I'll go Daniels. Kyle's asking me a fun question, so I'll answer it, even though it's about Saturday rather than about Thursday or fantasy football. Georgia Bulldogs traveling to Tuscaloosa to play the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Who's going to win? It's Georgia. Not only is Georgia going to win, but Georgia is going to cover. Off-white only? No. I'm going to keep moving along, so sorry. I'm not going to expand. Iman, Raiders or Dolphins defense? I'd go Dolphins defense just barely, I think. Raiders this week, going up against the Browns. It's a decent matchup. Browns, you know what? I'm going to take the Raiders, and here's why. That Browns offensive line's hurt. That Browns offensive line has a lot of holes, so that's why I'm going to take it. By the way, for those that are curious about the betting market and that Raiders and Browns game, right now the money is coming down on the Browns. So just a word of warning, if you're feeling the Raiders a little bit too much, the market actually favors the Browns, so kind of interesting there. Appreciate you guys being with us. Gavin Black, start Josh Jacobs or Travis Etienne. I'm going to go Travis Etienne on that one. Will, Dak, or Baker? I'm going to go Baker. I'm going to go Baker Mayfield. Bob, Mostert for Braylon Allen. I actually would do the trade, believe it or not. Sonny, Achane and Kyron Williams or A.J. Brown and Etienne. I'd rather have Achane and Kyron Williams. Jared, I'm not big on Dowdle. I'm just not big on him. I don't understand what the hype is around the guy. New York Giants run defense so far this year isn't good, but it's also it's bottom 10, but I'm just not excited about Dowdle. I just don't get why people try to hype me up on him. Like, what has he ever done to kind of validate the hype? I mean that not to be accusatory to anyone, but like legitimately, is Rico Dowdle someone that I should take seriously, like at all? I don't get that vibe from watching him play. Salah, Monty, James Cook, Cooper for Breece Hall, and Evans, yes. Yes, I would do the trade. Do I love it? No, but the problem is I like James Cook a lot. I like Breece Hall more. You know what? Salah, I'm going to take it back. Don't do the trade. I think I'd rather have the 2 running backs than the 1. Is Breece Hall an upgrade over James Cook? Yes. Is Breece Hall an upgrade over Montgomery? Yes. But is the difference between James Cook and Breece Hall worth a David Montgomery? No, it's worth a lesser player. So I don't like the trade, Salah. I think you're giving up a little bit too much. Dennis B, I hope I'm wrong about my Saturday pick. I hope you're right. M. Fergames, Hall and Evans for Montgomery James. Oh, you just asked that again. Interesting. You guys had the same trade? Did you guys just make the same deal? M. Ferg, I don't like the deal for the same reason I just said to Solid. Did you guys make the same trade? Connor 1234. I like A.J. Brown more than Neighbors. I don't think Malik Neighbors has as good a game tonight as he's had the past few weeks. The reason for that? Diggs. I think Diggs is going to cover him well. I like A.J. Brown a whole lot more if he's healthy, obviously. Jose, first time Bama's been an underdog at home since 2007. Yep, they actually have a wide receiver who wasn't born then. They have a wide receiver who wasn't born the last time they were home underdogs. Put that in your brain and let it swirl around. Josh, JSN, Kirk Mason, and Braylon for Bijan and Scary Terry. I would do the trade. Josh. Gavin, Rashid Shaheed, and Josh Reynolds for Jaden Reed. Do I think Reed's going to get more points than Shaheed? Rest of season, probably. I'll say yes, Gavin. It's close, though. Jack, bench 2. Jack, I would bench Hill, and I would bench Jennings. I bench Hill and Jennings, though I wish you could start Jennings. Uzba, I'd go Bowers. I'd go Bowers over Ferguson. Sean Mata, Andrews, or Pat Freiermuth. It's a tricky one. I'll go Freiermuth just barely. Freiermuth just barely on that play. It's close, though. Aiden Thompson, would you trade Charbonnet for Pollard? Yes, Aiden. Yes, I would. Aiden Thompson, I'd make that trade. Ricky, trade Chuba Hubbard and Pacheco for Brian Robinson Jr. I would certainly consider it. I don't love it, but I'd consider it. Eric Anderson, I would do that trade. But the problem is, I would have done it a couple days ago. If you're not getting Singletary for this week, I don't like it as much, Eric. That's a trade that needed to be done so you could play Singletary tonight. Luca, pick 2 in a full PPR. I'll go Singletary and I'll go Brian Robinson Jr. Singletary and Brian Robinson Jr. Shonky 13, I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes barely over Fields. Mahomes over Fields. Larkus, if McBride is healthy enough to go, if he clears concussion protocol, I'd go McBride. Otherwise, Larkus, I'd go Goddard. So McBride if he clears concussion protocol. Otherwise, I would go with Goddard. Thanks for the question. Hiram Oakley, start 2. I'd start Gibbs. Gibbs would be one. I'm going to start Gibbs, and I'll probably start Mason. I really don't love sitting JT. But JT's matchup against Pittsburgh is not favorable. New England Patriots' run defense so far this year is bottom 6. The matchup for Gibbs isn't a great one. Gibbs going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong Patriots. Patriots' run defense is actually better than I thought. Patriots' run defense is top 5. So, okay, here I'm Oakley. I'll take JT and Gibbs. Forgive me for that. I'll take JT and Gibbs. JT and Gibbs would be the 2. Luke, should I drop Mixon and pick up Brian Robinson Jr. for the season? Ooh, I think, I kind of say yes. I think Mixon's going to have a tough time kind of living within that crowded Houston Texans offense. The fact that he's already been banged up, he'll get touchdowns, but so will Brian Robinson Jr. I don't hate the trade, actually. I think I'd go through with it. Kobe, trade Hill and McLaurin for CeeDee Lamb. No, you're giving up too much value. I understand CeeDee Lamb's great, but Hill and McLaurin, they're worth too much to give away for just one player. I don't even care if that's Tyreek Hill. Andrew, thanks for sharing the channel. Appreciate all those who share the channel. Certainly means a lot to us, goes a long way in helping us grow as a Butt Fumble sports community. Noob DK, I'd go Baker. Noob DK, I'd go Baker. El Pinche, I'd go Fields. El Pinche, I'd go Fields. I take that back. El Pinche, I'm going to go Cousins over Fields barely. I love Fields' rushing yards. I don't trust him enough in the air. I'm going to go Cousins over Fields, but it feels close. Donnie Guns, I'd go Purdy. Donnie Guns, I'd go Purdy. Ricky, I'd go Olave. Appreciate the question. Jaden Ortiz, out of that group, I'm leaning towards Flowers. Just barely over Adams. Globo Jose, I'd go Steele. Thanks for the question. We take callers, live guests on TikTok. We call them callers. They're a live guest on TikTok. We will take them in 9 minutes, everybody. Live callers in 9 minutes. We will do that for a full hour. And that's how we'll end our show. So if you want to get in on it, hit us up. John, I'd go Josh Allen. Josh Allen is facing the worst pass defense in the NFL in the Ravens. I'll go Allen. Nuve DK, I'm going to lean just slightly, I think, towards Njoku, just barely towards Njoku over Evan Ingram. It's very close, but I'll go with a Njoku play. Teo, Darnold or Goff? Green Bay Packers pass defense is just bad enough. I'll take Sam Darnold on that one. Zach P, Darnold or Murray? Kyler Murray's cooking, man. Kyler Murray's the play. Jay Martin, Purdy or Fields? It's Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's the play. Byron Iron. Vikings defense or Raiders defense? I'm going to go Raiders. That Browns offensive line, their injuries, that has me worried. Bry Guy Jr., Pickens. It's Pickens. Habibi, I'd go McLaurin. Because the matchup. Julie, I'd go Bijan. Miss Tess, thanks for resubscribing. Miss Tess just resubscribed. Made my day. So wonderful to have another subscriber up there. Let's add another player prop bet to the big board to say thank you to Miss Tess for subscribing on TikTok. The next pick we're going to get out, another player prop bet. Go on the defensive side. DeMarcus Lawrence. I got a sack coming his way. Over 0.25 sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence over 0.25 sacks. So if he gets half a sack, he cashes the bet. He has been very consistent against the Giants in the past. One of the reasons I like this play. So DeMarcus Lawrence over 0.25 sacks. You can find that bet on DraftKings. A reminder to you guys, whenever I place a bet, I actually have promos that go along with those bets in my link tree. There's a link in my bio on TikTok. Hit that link. It shows you the promos that are offered. Take advantage of them. These sports books are giving away prizes or rewards or boosts every week. Take advantage of it. Use the sports books money as often as you can to make money for yourself. Angel, how's Rome? Could not be better, man. Rome is amazing. Rome is always good. I had a phenomenal meal at Pepero. Pepero is a Michelin star restaurant here in Rome. They were fabulous to me. I had a 10-course meal. Phenomenal. Enjoyed it thoroughly. Met the owner, met the chef. Just had a wonderful time. If you guys don't know, I'm a big foodie. Whenever I travel, that's where I like to spend my money and spend my time. I don't go out with extravagant things. I'm not a jewelry guy. I'm not a car guy. I don't spend my money on a lot of things. I love good food and a good meal. That said, to your question, you actually had a question for me. I'd go Jaylen Warren. And out of the other three, I have no idea, Angel. I don't like any of those other three options. I like Jaylen Warren, but for the other three, I really don't know. Maybe Trey Benson, but I'm really pulling it out of my butt fumble on that one. It's my username, pick two, Jerome Ford and Jennings. Jerome Ford and Jennings would be the two. Nick Feliz, I'd go Stroud. I don't like doubling up. I'm usually not big on stacking. For those that are new to the channel or new to the show, I don't like stacking on season long. I like to be on two sides. If you are going to stack, have a running back and a member of the passing game. I usually don't like to stack season long. I think that's more of a DFS thing. But for this week, I'm okay with it, Nick. Because of the matchup, I'm okay with it. Brian, Metcalf or Neighbors? I'm going to go Metcalf. I don't like the matchup for Neighbors. I think if you were the Dallas Cowboys, what's the one thing you told yourself all week? Don't let Malik Neighbors beat us. Oh, by the way, don't let Malik Neighbors beat us. They'll let Singletary beat them. They'll let Daniel Jones beat them. They'll let Wan'Dale Robinson beat them. But if I were the Dallas Cowboys, if I was Mike McCarthy, if I was Jerry motherfrickin' Jones, I'd come down to the locker room and I said, there's one New York Giant who will not beat us tonight, and it's Malik Neighbors. That's how I'd approach it. Metcalf's got the better matchup. I'll take Metcalf. KK Odunze or JSN? I'm going to go Odunze just barely. I like the matchup a little bit more. That said, he's a wide receiver 3. JSN's a wide receiver 2. Makes me a little nervous. The only reason I feel better about Odunze is Caleb Williams just chucks him the ball at times, even when he shouldn't. That chemistry seems to be there. I love the matchup that they have. The Chicago Bears this week playing the Rams. Rams are the 4th worst pass defense in the league. I'll go Odunze barely, KK. I'll go barely with Odunze. Ryan Roth, trade Chase and Lamar for Lamb and Stroud. Wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I would probably say no. Lamar Jackson's going to get you more fantasy points than Stroud because of the rushing yards. What you're really doing is you're barely upgrading at wide receiver between Chase and Lamb to actually lose rushing yard value in Lamar. I wouldn't do it. I'd rather have Chase and Lamar, Ryan. I would say no to the trade. Jack Andrews or Cole Kmet? I'm going to go Cole Kmet for the reason I mentioned before. I like the Bears passing offense this week. TP, Robinson or Atwell? Is that Brian Robinson Jr.? Is that Wandale Robinson? Which Robinson? I'm not gonna spend time trying to figure out the mystery. Chief. I didn't see the I. Chief, Charbonnet and Terry for Tyreek, a good deal. I think it's a fair trade. I think I'd rather have Charbonnet and Scary Terry right now, if I'm being honest, but it's a fair trade, and if you think Tyreek Hill has greater value down the road, I'm fine pulling the trigger on this one. Justin, is Taysom Hill back? Is Taysom Hill cleared? I don't know about that, Justin, so we gotta know before we answer that question. Austin, trade Montgomery for Garrett Wilson and Jonathan Brooks. I actually kind of sneaky like this deal. Montgomery's value is pretty solidified in that Lions offense, but Jonathan Brooks has some upside. We just haven't seen him yet, but everyone's buzzing about the rookie. I kind of like the trade, Austin. I think it's a bit of a gamble, but I'd be willing to do it. Oh, and I'm down terrible for running back. Full PPR start Foreman or Hunt. You don't know if Hunt's going to play. You don't know how many snaps he's going to play. Deontay Foreman's got the better matchup. Oh, and I'd go Deontay Foreman. Gridiron, I'd go Goddard. Gridiron, I'd go Goddard. Sean, is that Christian Watson? Between Waddle and Watson, it's all going to depend on who the quarterback of the Packers is. If it's Jordan Love, I'll go Watson. If it's Malik Willis, I'll go Jalen Waddle. Javi starting Daniels over Murray. I'm not crazy, right? You're not crazy. I think you're making the mistake of... I think you're making a mistake. I'd rather start Murray than Jaden Daniels, so I do think you're making a mistake there. The Arizona Cardinals this week going up against the Washington Commanders. Commanders are the second worst pass defense in the league. I'll take Kyler over Daniels barely. And yes, I do think Arizona wins as a function of that. Nelson Morales, I'd go Darnold. Nelson Morales, Darnold. Quentin Nolan, play Jones tonight? Actually, yeah. For a number of you, I actually think Daniel Jones might be the best quarterback option out there. It's the rushing yards. For me, it's not about what he's going to do through the air. It's about the fact that he is going to run on the Cowboys. I told you what I would do if I were the Cowboys defense, take away Malik Neighbors. If I were the New York Giants offense, run the damn ball. Brian Daboll, run the ball, force the Cowboys to show you they can stop the run. Until then, run it and run it and run it and run it and run it. Just beat up that defensive line. Try to set a standard of we own the trenches, dictate time of possession. If the Giants have any chance of winning, they need to make this a shorter game by bleeding clock, running the football effectively, and playing decent defense. That's what I would think has to happen. Ghost, Malik Neighbors for JSN. I'm not going to do that. I think that's a number one wide receiver for a number two. Am I high on Neighbors tonight? I'm not, but I still like him more than JSN this week. John Doe, Bucky Irving. John Doe, Bucky Irving's the best player out of that group. JAD, should I go Garrett Wilson and Pollard for Olave and JT? Yes, I'd rather have Olave and JT. Brian, what about Moore over Neighbors? Brian, I like that play. Yep, I would start Moore over Neighbors. That dog Lucy. Thoughts on McLaurin this week? I like him. I just think he's playing well. I think he's turned a corner in his relationship with Jaden Daniels. You're seeing the chemistry form. I like him. I don't think he has a massive game, but he has a good one. We have hit the top of the hour, everybody. We've hit top of the hour. That means we're going to take some calls. So we are going with callers now for the next hour. If you're writing your question in, we'll get to some of them throughout the next hour. I'm not saying we won't take any written questions, but we are going to take some callers now on TikTok. If you want to join on TikTok, just hit us up to become a guest. I believe TikTok requires you to have 1,000 followers. That's not my rule. It's theirs. I'm sorry if you don't. I would love to have you join the show. I would love to have everyone join, but obviously it's a tough spot. So that said, we'll take callers, and I'm just going to take them in the order that they show up. So there's no favoritism. I'm not going to people who I like or dislike or join the show often or not. As they come up in the queue, that's how I'm going to go. So don't bitch at me, bitch at TikTok. First caller we're going to take is I Used to Catch Fish. I Used to Catch Fish is first on the line. Let's see what I Used to Catch Fish wants to talk about. By the way, warning, I am overseas, so if we do have connection issues, we'll audible, but for the moment, we're going to try and connect. I used to catch fish. I'm having trouble with you to get started, so I'm going to drop you, call back. We'll see if we can get you later. Let's go to Jordan. Jordan, let's see if you can be our first caller of the night. Let's see what Jordan wants to talk about, if we can get him on the line. Jordan, what's good?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Hey, thanks for taking the call. I appreciate it. I love watching you.
Thank you so much. How can I help you?
So I am just kind of wondering, I went heavy on my wide receivers when I drafted, and I'm kind of a noob with fantasy, so I apologize, but I went a little heavy with the wide receivers, and I'm a little thin at running back.
Yeah.
And with all of the issues that I'm having with Tyreek, I'm not necessarily thinking of trading him this week. I'd love for him to pop and gain some value, but anyway, I just don't know if I should play him this week. You had mentioned that he has kind of a rough matchup. My other options are going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., Rashee Rice, DJ Moore.
You're sitting Tyreek Hill. Those three guys I like more than Tyreek Hill. And Jordan, I'm just going to say, as a noob to fantasy football, first, welcome to the cult. You've been indoctrinated, and it's going to get crazy for you. But if you watch the show in the preseason, maybe you missed us, value running backs more. Make a mental note, write it down in a notebook, and revisit it next fall. But this is why we value running backs more. And just as a quick note to all our viewers, it's easier to find a wide receiver who comes out of nowhere to become a star than it is to find a running back in that spot. Like Bucky Irving may be a rare exception like this year, but it's really hard. So I would move on from Tyreek Hill. I actually might do it this week because I don't think he has good value this week. Because it's a tough matchup, I think his value creeps down even more after this week because people go, man, Tyler Huntley still couldn't, even that connection isn't working. So I would trade Tyreek Hill right now because I actually think you're running the risk of his value continuing to go down, and then you're almost getting a running back 2 rather than the running back 1 that you want to get for Tyreek Hill in a trade.
That makes perfect sense. I appreciate that. One more question in regards to the running backs. So right now I have Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Moss. Sorry, I'm not looking at it, so I apologize. But okay. J.K. Dobbins, and I'm stashing Jonathan Brooks. My thought is and also I will add, I think Bucky Irving is still available on my waivers.
Pick him up right now. Yep. The combination of Bucky Irving and Jonathan Brooks are two great gambles. Those are two of the few running backs who, as I mentioned a moment ago, could actually come out of nowhere to be stars. So I actually love those lottery tickets.
And then as far as who I should drop, I have Deontay Johnson down there, J.K. Dobbins, and then, like I said, I'm stashing Jonathan Brooks, and I'm also stashing Hawkinson, and I don't have an IR spot.
I'm willing to move on from Hawkinson. Hawkinson. Who's your tight end?
I have Kittle, but he's obviously, compromised this week and didn't play last week.
With Hawkinson, I feel like I don't know when he's coming back for sure. I feel like you're kind of holding on for value. This is one where, as much as we want to collect future value for a player, we need to score points this week. We're playing this week. And so I would go get the players who have value this week. Next week, Bucky Irving has a good matchup this week. Get him now. TJ Hawkinson, as much as I'd love to own him in week 10, your season could be over by then if you don't win the next couple of weeks. So.
Okay, I am 3-0 too, so I haven't wanted to make too many shifts, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to stop what was working, so that's kind of...
By the way, a rookie in fantasy football winning? Not bad, Jordan, not bad. Well done, buddy, well done.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. I don't want to take any more of your time with me, so I know you have other callers. I really appreciate it, and I'll continue to watch and support.
I really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thanks.
We'll get to our next caller now. Next up on the line is Brandon Lee, because that's what's in the queue. Let's see what Brandon Lee wants to talk about. Brandon, what's good?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you for accepting my call.
Of course. How can I help you?
I made a pretty sizable trade at the beginning of the season and acquired Christian McCaffrey.
Yikes.
I do have Jordan Mason, but I'm not too sure how Christian McCaffrey is going to work out. And I don't think we have any idea when he's coming back. So
if your question's about Christian McCaffrey, this week presented the worst news you could possibly hear, which is Christian McCaffrey is going to Germany to meet with an Achilles tendon expert to try to figure out this injury and get another opinion. You know who goes to Germany to figure out an injury? Someone who's fucked. Someone who's really in trouble with an injury. No one's doing that if it's like, oh, he'll be okay in a couple weeks. I actually think they're really worried that his Achilles tendon is going to go the moment he steps on the field and really competes, and then he's done for the year. I said it earlier in the week. My over-under on the number of games that McCaffrey plays is 5.5, and I would take the under right now. You with us, Brandon?
Do you think there's any sort of value that I can get out of him at all?
The answer is, of course, because there's probably one owner in your league who's, I don't want to say dumb enough, but is hopeful enough that he has value that they'll throw someone your way. But honestly, right now, I would trade him immediately, because the longer you hold on to him, the more Adam Schefter is going to make people aware of the fact that this dude isn't going to show up until maybe November at the earliest. I'm out on McCaffrey.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I appreciate it. And I have one more question.
Sure.
So I'm 2-1, but I have the second lowest scoring team, and I think it's a product of I have a lot of RB2.
You know what I think is the most overrated, nonsensical, who gives a shit stat? The number of points you score in fantasy. Your record is your record. I'm a big Bill Parcells believer. You are what your record is. And yeah, fantasy, you want to score the most points. But when you're 2-1, who gives a shit if you scored the fewest points? You're 2-1. I bet there's an 0-3 team that would give up all the points in the world to be in your spot.
Exactly. So where that leads to is I have David Montgomery, Tony Pollard. So I'm kind of questioning who I put in that RB2 spot.
Yeah.
And then that leads me to, if whoever I put there, I'm going between David Montgomery or Tony Pollard, and then or Roma Dunze and Wan'Dale Robinson in my flex.
Well, I like the Roma Dunze more than the Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm just not believing enough in Wan'Dale Robinson. As for the running back, I think I lean towards Montgomery because I like the opportunity for the touchdown. It's a coin flip of a play at the running back spot, but I think that David Montgomery punches in a touchdown, and that'll get you the points that you're really looking for out of that position.
So do you think then I throw Tony Pollard in my flex over Roma Dunze?
The answer is probably yes, because I value the running back points more. So the Miami Dolphins run defense so far this year is pretty, it's top 12 in the league, maybe top 14. They're kind of more middle of the pack maybe than I'm admitting. But I like the idea of him just getting more carries. Roma Dunze is going to get, 4 or 5 catches in the game. You're banking on a touchdown. I think Pollard, First of all, Pollard's probably got a greater probability of getting a touchdown anyways. So if we're just playing from an analytics standpoint, Pollard's the better play. And yes, I do very much think of analytics in fantasy football because it is about what gives you the greatest opportunity for points from a probability standpoint, not just who could get you the most points.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I appreciate it.
Brandon Lee, appreciate the call. Have a wonderful night, bud.
All right, thanks, man. You too.
Let's go to our next caller. Next up in the queue, not by my picking, but because he showed up there, John. John's one of our loyal subscribers. Let's see what John wants to ask about. Oh, John, spinning wheel of death, but there he is. John, what's good?
I'm here, brother. I didn't expect to actually jump on so quick. I'm still trying to swallow my apple. My bad.
No issue. Yeah, the queue just put you to the top. I don't know why, but you got there.
Hey, because I know you're so fast with the fingers and getting knowledge, I remember last year only because I have this guy, CeeDee Lamb. Him and Prescott were also in the same situation they were in. I believe it was last weekend where CeeDee Lamb felt like he wasn't getting targeted. He had one of the lowest weeks of his career.
Yep.
That next weekend, did he not almost go for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns?
So
this gives
me an opportunity. Thank you for bringing that up. This gives me the opportunity to use actually one of the tools, the websites that I use that sponsors the show. Outlier Outlier sponsors the show, and they allow us. Outlier is an aggregator of data, so we can look up the stat actually really easily for the most part. You're talking about last year. Last year, specifically, you're talking about receiving yards last year after they had a really bad game. So in week 4 of last year, the Cowboys played the Patriots and blew out the Patriots, but he only had 36 receiving yards. Only had 36. The following, that was his low point of the season. That was his lowest point of the season, and that was week 4. The following week, he had 49 yards, so he didn't blow up then, but then he went on a run against the next 4 weeks. So in weeks 7, 8, 9, and 10, he went off. And
okay.
So
I just like I had a little bit of amnesia. It felt like, because it felt like they did the same thing last year.
You're totally right. You're totally right. Same thing happened last year. No, you're right, in which CeeDee Lamb got off to a decent start in the first 2 weeks, and then in weeks 3 through 5, he just kind of had bad weeks, and people were talking about it, and then he exploded. And he went through about a month of being the best wide receiver in the league outside of maybe A.J. Brown. So I'm right there with you. This is history repeating itself. It's so similar. Don't sweat it if you're a CeeDee Lamb owner.
Oh, never a CeeDee Lamb. I'm franchise tagging him forever.
Right. Because he deserves that level of respect. Yep.
Now, you made a comment earlier about how McCaffrey ain't a player possible till November-ish.
Yep.
All right. Say a guy that has him is really stinking now. Like,
if you, I'll put it this way, John. Do you have IR in your league? Do you have an IR spot? If you have that, I'm okay trading for McCaffrey. If that's where your question's going, I'm okay trading for him and stashing him on IR, because then it's like, all right, if he comes back and he plays, great. Same thing with Pacheco, same thing with Puka Nacua. I'll take a gamble on those guys in the IR spot, but if you're trading for McCaffrey to get any legitimate value, if you're like relying on him to contribute to the team, I think it's a bad move. If you're treating it like, oh, could I get like a steal of a player in 6 weeks, 8 weeks? That I would like, but only in the IR.
What I'm going to present the dude is, we know Chubb's only out for week 4.
Right.
And he's back week 5, correct?
I don't think that is like solidified. I think that's the plan.
That's the thought, right?
You're right. That's the plan the Browns had. Obviously, we got to make sure that like everything goes right, but that was the plan they had preseason. Yep.
So that's what I'm trying to maybe present to dude is, hey, I'll give you Chubb for McCaffrey.
See, I don't love that, John. I don't like that because I think Chubb's going to produce more over the next month and a half. I think I like Chubb more.
Okay. So stay with Chubb.
Yes. Don't try and outsmart this one. Christian McCaffrey could be in real trouble. Christian McCaffrey could be done for the year. Like, this is a bad injury. I know you're trying to be really creative, and I'm not taking a piss on it. I'm more like, I think you were pretty creative getting Chubb in the preseason. See that through. Get the validation for that smart move.
Gotcha. All right, brother. That's all I needed from
John, you're one of my favorites, bud. We'll talk soon.
Much love, brother.
All right, let's get to our next caller. Next in the queue is going to be Dylan B. Chillin. Dylan B. Chillin is next up on the line. Let's see what Dylan wants to talk about. Dylan, what's good?
What is up, my man? How is Rome?
Could not be better, man. It's Rome. It's always the best. How can I help you?
Awesome. So I was able to pick up Juwan Jennings in one of my leagues. Problem is, I have Brandon Ayuk in that same league.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of short-staffed on receivers at the moment. It's the same one I've got Cooper Kupp in.
Patriots' pass defense is pretty bad, so I'll never say like stack 2 receivers on the same team in the same week.
Right.
I'm usually not that guy, but if you're really in a pinch, you probably could do it this week because the Patriots' pass defense is a bottom 10 pass defense. But I wouldn't want to encourage that to be like the norm.
Right. Yeah, because I've got Shakir.
Love him.
My other one's Devontae Smith, and I don't know if he's...
And he may be out, yeah. So it would be Shakir. I would start the 2, and I'd start Shakir, and those would be the 3, unless you have a running back at the flex that might be attractive there. But with Devontae, I expect Devontae Smith to be out. That was an ugly hit that he took. I don't expect him to come through the concussion protocol in a week. That would be frankly, I would think it'd be reckless by the Eagles to put him back on the field that fast.
Right. Yeah, because I don't really have anybody else because I had to move Montgomery up to my actual running back slot. So he was my flex.
I think what you're really banking on, funny enough, is almost exactly what we saw from the Seahawks against the Patriots. You're hoping DK Metcalf, a.k.a. Ayuk in this scenario, has that one big, long touchdown play. Then he'll probably be covered by Christian Gonzalez a majority of the game, and that's where JSN got his points. That's where you're hoping Jennings plays that role this week. I could absolutely see that happening. I could see Ayuk getting a touchdown, but Jennings being the go-to between the 20s, or vice versa. So I actually think both are a decent play this week.
Okay, cool. And are you still high on Geno Smith this week over Anthony Richardson?
Yeah. I know that sounds bad, but Anthony Richardson hasn't done enough with his legs, and right now the dude is allergic to the football throwing it. He's giving away turnovers, and he's playing not a good defense, a great defense of the Steelers. So yeah, I'd go Geno.
Yeah, he's kind of giving me Jameis Winston vibes.
Right.
Just kind of throwing it up.
And by the way, when Jameis was at his worst, and right now, Anthony Richardson is just, I feel like he's overreacting to the coming back from injury and I don't want to run. Like that play in the red zone where he threw the interception. Dude, run that ball in. A year ago, you would have run that in for a touchdown. I feel like that hesitation is actually putting him in a position to make mistakes. I'd rather go with Geno Smith. By the way, if you don't remember, last year, Geno Smith torched the Lions in Detroit. Had maybe one of his best games of his career. So the dude has good memories of playing at Ford Field.
And that's what I was saying because, the Lions are a high-octane offense, and Geno likes to air it out. So I kind of figured it was going to be a
bit of a shootout. Yep, I think I don't think it's going to be as big a shootout because I think the Seahawks defense is a little bit better than people think. But I think your logic behind that's right of why Geno is going to get more points than Anthony Richardson.
Cool. As always, sir, I appreciate it.
You have a good one. We'll talk again soon. Let's go to the next caller in the queue. It's going to be David. David is next on the line. He's the next one that showed up in the queue, so let's see what he wants to ask about. Let's see what David's up to. David, what's good?
What's going on, my man? How are you?
Love and life. How can I help you?
All right, so I got a couple of plays on my team for tonight, so I just want to run them through you real quick.
Sure.
Would you rather start Dallas defense or Texans defense?
Would I rather start the Dallas Cowboys defense or the Houston Texans defense?
Correct.
Oof. I'd rather start the Houston Texans defense, and the only reason for that is because the Houston Texans are at home, and the Cowboys have been so bad against the run. I'm going to lean towards the Texans, but I think it is close. I think there's a bit of a coin flip decision there.
Fair enough. I got Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels on my team that I'm looking at right now.
Nice.
I like the matchup for Daniels better. I want to know your thoughts on that.
I agree. I think this matchup for Lamar is a really tricky one. Buffalo's a pretty good defense. So yeah, I lean towards Jaden Daniels. But by the way, two of my favorite quarterbacks, preseason, now, rest of season, they're going to be monsters. So you've definitely locked up probably two of the top 4 fantasy quarterbacks in the league, with the other two probably being Kyler Murray and Josh Allen. So great job there, David.
Yeah, I have a lot of trades coming in. People are trying to take Jaden Daniels.
Oh, I have no doubt. And what I would say is it needs to be a Godfather level offer. You need to make me an offer I cannot refuse, because right now, not only is Jaden Daniels hot, he's perfect from a fantasy standpoint. He runs for touchdowns, he still throws a ton. This is peak Kyler Murray from a couple of years ago, and that was when Kyler was elite. It's what Lamar is known for in fantasy. I love what you have, and I wouldn't trade either one of them unless I got a monster offer.
I agree. So my running backs are David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, P. Ryan, and Stevenson. I don't like Stevenson's matchup, so I have him on my bench. I'm thinking of going with David Montgomery and Josh Jacobs to start. Any thoughts there?
Josh Jacobs has a worse matchup than Stevenson does. The Minnesota Vikings are the 3rd best run defense in the NFL. So even though you may be putting the 49ers in that position because of their past, performances, thus far this year, they're giving up about 100 rush yards per game. The Vikings, 71 per game. I think I would take Stevenson.
Okay. For my receivers, kind of a tough spot because I have Waddle. I don't want to start him. So I have Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Shaheed. So I'm trying to pick 2 to start and maybe 1 for my flex.
Yeah, tough options this week. Not a great collection of players for this week. Garrett Wilson, bad matchup. Shaheed, tricky matchup. Wan'Dale Robinson, giant question mark. Like, Wan'Dale Robinson could have a good night because Malik Neighbors is covered a lot tonight, but you can't bank on that. So I do think I lean more towards the brand names, believe it or not. I know Garrett Wilson's got a brutal matchup. I'd still probably start him because I think Aaron Rodgers will force feed him the ball, like I mentioned, in the red zone. I'm hoping for just 1 touchdown. Give me 1 touchdown, Garrett Wilson, and you're worth it. Give me the other players again so I can consider them for spots 2 and 3.
So we're going with Wilson. I'm guessing we're going with Deontay Johnson also. It's Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, Shaheed.
I'd go Waddle. You keep trying to tell me that I should be taking Johnson. The Cincinnati Bengals pass defense is pretty good. And Deontay Johnson, I'll say play him because I do like him more than Wan'Dale Robinson, I think. So yeah, but all I would say is I don't like that as much as you want me to like it. And I'm not saying that to lessen your enthusiasm, but more to level your expectations to be like, if Johnson had a disappointing game, it wouldn't shock me. So just like mentally prepare for the fact you just don't have good options, so you're gonna have to hold your nose. I'd probably play Johnson, but I'm not like enthusiastic about it.
So then that brings us to our flex. Would you rather have Johnson or Josh Jacobs there?
Okay, this is what I'm going to say. If Malik Willis plays, I would sit Jacobs. If Jordan Love plays, I would start Jacobs.
Okay, I like that.
That's how I'm going to play it because I actually think if Malik Willis plays, Jacobs is going to get enough attention from the Vikings defense where Johnson, that's a better matchup. But if Jordan Love's back, do I think the Vikings all of a sudden go, we got to cue on the pass a little bit more, and that may open up Jacobs? Yes. So I'm going to cue it on that injury and how that gets played out, the reporting of that.
All right, I appreciate you, my man.
David, you have a nice night. Let's get to our next caller. We got 12 people waiting on hold, so forgive me. We'll get to all of you guys. Don't worry. Next up on the line is going to be Cam. Cam is going to be our next caller. Let's see what Cam wants to talk about. Getting spinning wheel. See if Cam can connect. Cam, I'm having a tough time connecting with you, bud. Sorry, I'm not. Obviously, I'd love to connect with you. Just call me back. See if you can get a better connection and call me back, Cam. Sorry about that, buddy. Let's go to our next caller. We're going Happy Hour. Let's see if Happy Hour is having a good end of his workday and getting ready for the Thursday night game. Happy Hour, what's good?
Yo.
How can I help you, Happy Hour?
I'm a big fan.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, for a 12-man, I got a pretty good lineup. I'm just asking if I should trade to make it even better. So with my QB, I got Dak, and then my RB2, 1 and 2 is Kenneth Walker and James Conner. And then, actually, I got Alvin Kamara as my flex, which is my third RB.
Yep.
And then my wide receivers are Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, and CD.
Okay.
And I was thinking one of the guys requested a trade with me for Mike Evans and James Conner for Amon-Ra. Do you think it's worth to do that or keep my starting lineup?
I would keep what you have, and the only reason I wouldn't do it, it's not that I don't like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I really do. Do I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's an upgrade over Evans? I do, but the difference there, that's not a James Conner. You should be getting more. It should be Amon-Ra St. Brown plus another player. Now, that other player could be a throw-in or a lesser value player like a Bucky Irving or something of that caliber. But the difference between Mike Evans and Amon-Ra St. Brown, it ain't worth a James Conner. James Conner's worth more than that, and that's why I don't like the trade.
All right, thank you, because I've been struggling on that, and I don't want to get called dumb.
By the way, first of all, you won't get called dumb for something like that. The reason I don't like it for you is Mike Evans is a wide receiver 1 on his team. So you're trading a wide receiver 1 for a wide receiver 1, but you're giving up a running back 1? Hell no! Hell no!
Yeah, that is a good point.
Don't be fooling me like that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, by the way, his values come down with Jameson Williams playing well. So much like Mike Evans, is his value's a little bit less because Godwin's on the other side and he gets plenty of targets. Amon-Ra St. Brown has that situation now, unlike last year. So I think Evans and Amon-Ra are probably closer in value than we probably give credit to. James Conner's good for almost a touchdown every week. He'll probably get out of a 17-game season, he'll probably get a touchdown 11, 12 weeks out of that year. I'm keeping James Conner. I'd hold what I have, especially in a 12-man league where depth is critical. Critical.
Exactly. That is the one thing I don't have with having good players is my depth is very bad.
Show me someone in a 12-team league that has depth, and I'll show you a bad 12-team league. Because if one team has depth, it actually means the entire league is kind of shitty. Because no one should be able to get... Unless they're brilliant on the waiver wire and luck just breaks their way. But even that shouldn't happen because it should be too competitive in a 12-team league.
Exactly. All right, thank you. I just needed that confirmation.
You're good, Happy Hour. I got you. You're not stupid. I got you, buddy. You have a good one. We'll talk again soon. Let's go to our next caller. It's going to be Bry Guy. Let's see what Bry Guy wants to talk about, by the way. Having fun with Bry Guy? Let's go. Bry Guy, what's good?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. What's happening? You got to stay on TikTok, Bry Guy. When you go off TikTok, you mute yourself. I can't hear you. So you got to stay on the app, Bry Guy.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to know first if you would keep... I got the Dallas Cowboys and I got the Raiders on the bench along with the Giants as well for defense. I'm thinking about going straight Cowboys, although they're projecting for the Raiders defense. The Raiders are going up against I think the worst defense in the
Browns. They're going up against the Browns. Here's the reason we're going with the Raiders, Bry Guy. 2 reasons. 1, the Dallas defense hasn't been good. The Dallas defense hasn't been good. So until I see it, hard for me to believe it. And they don't actually face the worst offensive opponent in the league. I know we make fun of Daniel Jones. I know we make fun of the Giants. But they've actually been averaging over 20 points per game. They score a couple touchdowns. They're not the worst offense in the league statistically. We just make fun of them because, they are the butt of every joke we could think of. But that said, the Browns' offensive line is bad. It has injuries, and it looked really bad last week. One of the reasons the Browns lost to the Giants is because that Giants D-line ran over the Browns' offensive line and those backups that came in. Deshaun Watson looks bad. I know that the running game should be better. The Raiders are bad against the run, so Jerome Ford, Deontay Foreman, they should have good games. But I could say the same thing about the Cowboys defense. Cowboys are the worst run defense in the league. So I think the Raiders are a better play. By the way, put me down for a Max Crosby sack on a player prop bet. Just a side note, I'll take Max Crosby for a sack this week. But I'll play the Raiders over the Cowboys at defense this week.
Okay. One more. Quarterback, I got Dak Prescott and Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
No doubt about it, Bry Guy.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it.
You have a good one, buddy. We'll talk again soon. I used to catch fish, tried to come on. His connection wasn't good, so we had to hang up on him. I used to catch fish. Now I got you. What's good, buddy?
Hey, how's you doing, man?
Oh, loving life. How can I help you?
Got a PPR trade proposal.
Sure.
This guy wants me to trade him Ramondre Stevenson and Ayuk for CMC and Christian Kirk. What are your thoughts on CMC this season?
Tell this dude to take a hike. Tell him that you don't want to hear any of the nonsense he's throwing your way. This is a bad trade. He's trying to sucker you into it. I don't think Christian McCaffrey, I brought this up before. Over under, Christian McCaffrey plays 5.5 games. That's what I'm putting out there. Over under, and I would take the under. I think Christian McCaffrey is in a world of trouble. If you're going to Germany to have an expert talk to you about your Achilles tendon, you are in big trouble. I don't want him. I don't want anything to do with him. I'm not making that deal.
That's what I thought. I just wanted your stance on it.
No, that is a trade where the other owner is in trouble, and he's fishing for deals. He's putting out deals to all the other owners in the league to see if anyone bites. You catch fish. Don't bite that hook.
I'm not doing it. Stroud or Baker this week?
Oof, I like them both, to be honest. I like them both, but I'm going to take Stroud. The reason I take Stroud, Jacksonville has the third worst pass defense in the league. I like Baker. I think I love Stroud this week.
Fair. Okay, I appreciate it, man.
Have a good one. I used to catch fish. We'll talk again soon. Next caller up on the line is WWE in public. Let's see what WWE wants to talk about tonight. WWE, what's good?
What's good?
How can I help you?
Let me turn my camera on real quick.
Sure.
What's good?
What's happening?
So, I have Sam Darnold on the bench. What are your thoughts on Darnold this week?
I think he's going to have a decent game. The Green Bay Packers pass defense is not as good as we think it is. I think we've kind of built the narrative that like Jair Alexander is a really good corner. And obviously Xavier McKinney, I love that addition to the secondary. Mm-hmm. But they're like a bottom 10, bottom 12 pass defense. So I think there's some vulnerability there. I don't hate Darnold this week. It would depend who the other options are. But I think Darnold's an okay start.
On that, do I start Darnold over Dak?
Do I start Darnold over Dak?
I know it's a hard decision.
Wow.
It's a very hard decision.
The problem I'm having, I'm going to say Dak. And here's the reason why. I so don't like the running game of the Cowboys. They so don't have a backfield, and I think they're going to win tonight. So if I think they're going to win and they don't have a running game, how are they going to win? How are they going to score points? It's going to be Dak, right?
How are they going to win a game?
Well, because they have decent players. It's not like they're so devoid of offensive talent. Like CeeDee Lamb,
only has CeeDee Lamb,
Jake Ferguson, Brandon Cooks. Like it's better than we think. It's one of those that like if you step back from the trees, you see the forest. It's better than we think. I would take Dak barely. In part, and I am saying that this is very much a past stat than like a current thing. Mm-hmm. Dak against the Giants, he's dominated. He has played some of his best games against the Giants, especially in like primetime marquee games. He's played really well. So I'm going to lean on the history rather than like the past 3 weeks. If it were past 3 weeks, it's Darnold. But I'm going to lean, I think, just slightly towards Dak. Barely.
Slightly over?
Just barely towards Dak. It's a great question, though. I understand why you ask it.
So,
by the way, credit Sam Darnold for that being a question, because Sam Darnold resurrected his career.
Defenses.
Sure.
I got the Cardinals against Washington.
Don't want that.
Or the Bengals.
Oh, I'd start the Bengals. No doubt. Look, Bengals looked awful.
I know the Bengals are 0-3.
Start the Bengals. They're going to win this week.
Start the Bengals?
They're going to start this week. First of all, Bengals on the money line. I'm putting that out there now. The Bengals are going to win this week. That's just a side note. Second of all,
who do the Bengals play?
They play the Panthers.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And not just that, if there's any trend that we've seen in the history of football over the last like 10 years, when a team either fires a head coach or changes at quarterback, they usually play really well the following week. The week after that, they usually come back to who they were before like the change happened. I think the Panthers had their week last week where they played well. I think Andy Dalton comes back down to earth this week. I think the Bengals put a whooping on them.
Yeah, are your DMs open, by the way?
On what?
On Instagram.
The answer is they are, but I don't answer fantasy questions there, because if I did, I wouldn't have a life. Like so many people send me fantasy football questions that I have to create a rule of like, I can't answer fantasy questions on Instagram, or otherwise I literally would not have any time in my day. So I do the show, as you know, because I know you're a loyal viewer, we do the show for enough hours throughout the week where I hope people can get their questions answered then. And if they can't, I'm sorry, but like I've got to draw a line between like being available and having a life, you know?
Yeah.
But if you don't want to ask me a fantasy question, if you just want to hit me up, that I'm cool with. If people want to hit me up, if they want to show love, if they want to, whatever, I'm totally about that. But if you ask me a fantasy question on Instagram, the chance I answer it is like very, very slim. Very slim.
I'm trying to think of the available defenses.
You got a good defense. Start the Bengals. Don't overthink this one, dude. Start the Bengals. Don't overthink it. They're going to be a good defense this week. Believe me. Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you.
You have a great one. I appreciate you. You're one of my favorite callers. Let's talk again soon. Let's get to our next caller. Next in the queue is Hianador. I'm not getting this name right, so I'm just going to say what's up to him because I'm not getting it right. Hey, what's good, dude?
Hey, what's good?
How do you pronounce your handle?
Okay, so it's pronounced Hyanator, but...
All right, I'll just leave it at that. What's good? How can I help you?
Okay, so I just wanted to ask if this was a good trade. I don't know how I got this trade to go off, but in my fraternity league, I was able to trade Bucky Irving and Mike Gesicki for Christian McCaffrey.
You got McCaffrey?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm going to break your heart. You got taken advantage of. Someone took advantage of you.
For real.
For real. Someone totally played you. And this is why, make sure you're following us. Make sure you join the community because we're going to prevent these trades from ever happening to you again. But I actually think you got played a little bit. You got played like a dude who went to a New York subway and saw them flipping cards under solo cups and you went for it. Christian McCaffrey's not going to play a lot this year. Bucky Irving's value is exploding. He's going to be the steal of the season, and Christian McCaffrey is going to be the disappointment of the season. So I'm sorry, dude.
But my running backs are already Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, and Kenneth Walker.
And here's where I'm going to fight you on this one. Not fight you, but push back. You can never have enough running back depth. And current running back depth. Christian McCaffrey, tell me when he's back. Tell me when you expect him to have any value. I mentioned earlier in the show, I think it's November at the earliest, if you're lucky. I think Christian McCaffrey might not play 4 games this year. I'm really worried about this injury. I think Bucky Irving's got a lot of value. So I understand why you did it. I'm not taking a shit on you, dude. Like, I totally understand. Throw him on the IR. Do you have an IR spot in your league?
So Jonathan Brooks is actually on my IR right now, and he's about to come back.
Perfect. Then great situation. By the way, the fact you have Jonathan Brooks makes me feel a little bit better about this deal because he then becomes your new Bucky Irving, your lottery tick running back who could fill in on bye weeks or who could pop and become a stud.
Got Braylon Allen off the waiver wire.
See, I think you've got better options in Braylon Allen, Bucky Irving, and Jonathan Brooks than Christian McCaffrey. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds like I should have my head examined. But in reality, those 3 players have more value between now and when McCaffrey comes back than I think McCaffrey's going to get all season long.
Really?
Yeah. No, he's in trouble. He's in trouble.
It's a good stash because if he ends up coming back and being the same McCaffrey that he is...
Well, first of all, of course you're going to say you think that you just made the trade, so you're not going to look at it with unbiased eyes. But in reality, I would love that for that to be the case. I hate to do this, but I'm going to say the one thing you don't want me to say. Achilles tendon. If this was a different area of the body, I'd go, okay, he'll figure it out. An Achilles tendon, and he's worried about it, and he's going to a specialist in Germany, oh shit. It tells me he's worried that thing's going to pop at any moment, that he's going to blow out his Achilles tendon. If that happens, it's a year until he's back at the earliest. So I'm really worried about him because this isn't a hamstring, this isn't a knee, this isn't ribs, this isn't concussion, this is your Achilles tendon, which means you can massage that thing, you can do therapy. If it wants to go, it's going to go. You can't strengthen it anymore. If it's teetering on the point of breaking, you're kind of in trouble. And I think that's what McCaffrey's worried about, is even if he comes back, that thing could just blow in the first quarter, and there it goes. So I think there's a lot of concern there, but you have enough other options where take Brooks off the IR, stash McCaffrey there, and you'll be fine. This trade won't define your season. Was it a good deal for you? No. You'll overcome it.
Yeah. What about, okay, so before this trade, I actually made a separate one, Another brother decided to go Brian Thomas Jr. I gave him that, and then I received Jalen Reed.
I think your fraternity brothers take advantage of you, bro. I think they're taking advantage of you.
There's no way you think that Jalen Reed is going to have a bad year after week 1.
Jaden Reed is you're missing what I'm saying. Jaden Reed's a good player. Brian Thomas Jr. might be the second he's going to be the third best rookie wide receiver this year after Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. Brian Thomas Jr. could end up being wide receiver 1 on the Jaguars by like week 6. I actually think he's got a lot of upside. It's not that I don't like Jaden Reed. Don't mishear that. What I'm saying is my job is to evaluate probability of points and points over the course of a season. I think BTJ has a greater probability of points week to week and has more value throughout the year. But what I'm really hearing is it's just about what you're asking for. If you had gotten Jaden Reed and a throw-in player, I'd be fine with the deal. I just think you're giving too much up in these trades for things that you're getting back. So I'm not knocking you. All I'm saying is I think the owners in your league have identified you as someone who they can get a little bit of more value out of you than you get out of them. We can change that. From now on, run trades past me. We'll make sure you get either equal value or you come away feeling like you got the better of the deal, because you should from now on.
See, but my thing with Brian Thomas Jr. is he has this inconsistent quarterback of Trevor Lawrence. I have put my trust in Trevor Lawrence for the last 2 years, and he just flops year after year
I would both agree with you, but here's the one thing I'll say. He actually is really good at finding his wide receiver 1. Now, sometimes we don't know who that's going to be. Like last year, we thought it was going to be Calvin Ridley. It turned into Christian Kirk. This year, we thought it was going to be Christian Kirk. It turns into BTJ. But he actually does fall in love with like a single receiver, and he like overthrows to that guy. So I agree with you. He's not super reliable like overall across the board as a fantasy quarterback. But as a guy who pairs up with a wide receiver, he actually falls in love with like his number 1 guy, and he throws him the ball way too often. If that's BTJ this year, I kind of like it. So I get why you say it. I'll also say Jaden Reed, he's an interesting player, but he's a Swiss Army knife in that Packers offense. So sometimes he can have great value, and sometimes he can get lost because they're feeding the ball to Jacobs or they're throwing to Watson and Dobbs. So I like Jaden Reed. Don't hear I don't like him. But I think Jaden Reed is a flex player, maybe a wide receiver 2 some weeks. I think BTJ is a wide receiver 2.
Okay. It's just, all these are like bench trades to begin with anyway.
Yeah.
Because like my starting wide receivers are Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill.
And if you want to make the argument to me about which player is a better own and you're trying to make the, maybe it's, Jaden Reed's got a better matchup against opponents in the coming week. Like that might be something, but if you're just talking purely on production value, I'm letting you know what I think. Again, I'm not knocking you. I'm not trying to be a jackass. I'm just trying to let you know my reaction. And that way, not only are you made smarter for now, but hopefully it allows you to see trades in the future a little bit differently. Maybe from my perspective to go, why are they offering me that deal? Are they trying to get me better, or are they trying to make themselves better at my expense? There are no friends in fantasy football. There are only enemies.
100%. I wanted to also ask, what do you think about Kyle Pitts?
I think Kyle Pitts is one of the most frustrating players in fantasy football because one week he'll be a top 5 tight end, and the next week he'll be Casper the Friendly Fucking Ghost, and he's vanished. This week I like him against the Saints. I love the fact that Kirk Cousins is there. I think that really helps his value. But there are going to be some weeks he disappears. I don't think this is going to be one of them. But he's not as consistent a player as I would like him to be because he's Kyle Pitts. And for whatever reason, it just happens to him so.
Yeah. He should have had more points last week, but
well, if the refs and if the Chiefs didn't screw things up,
like the refs didn't love the Chiefs so much.
By the way, that wouldn't have changed. The one thing I will say is that would have been pass interference. It's not like he gets the catch anyways. It still would have been incomplete, and then they probably run the ball in for a touchdown. Yeah. But what I will say is Kyle Pitts should be a lock it in, start tight end every week, and the fact that he's not goes to show just how frustrating he can be. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, man. I'm going to take some other callers. I appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll talk again soon. Make sure before you take another trade, talk to me. Let's go to Christian Silva. Christian Silva is going to be our next caller on the line. Let's see what Christian wants to talk about. Christian, what's good?
How's it going?
I really appreciate you as a subscriber. I'm going to start by saying that, buddy.
I appreciate you, man.
How can I help you?
Okay, so I have a waiver claim on Deontay Johnson. I have Keenan Allen at flex. I have Tyreek starting. Is it time to consider trading him?
The answer is yes. The problem is I really don't like your wide receiver options right now. So, and given that I don't feel like you often get a good wide receiver for wide receiver trade, because who's going to give up a good wide receiver when they're getting one? So I feel like you might have to hold on to him a little bit, at least until his value maybe returns in a couple of weeks. But I just don't feel like you're going to get the value you want back, and you're probably going to need a wide receiver one to lock up that spot on your team.
Yeah, well, I have A.J. Brown. Just waiting on him.
Oh, okay. Then maybe I feel a little bit better about the trade. You hadn't mentioned him amongst those names. I feel a little bit better about trading Hill since you have A.J. Brown. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's something thinking about considering now with the quarterback situation. And
I'm concerned about it overall. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when Skylar Thompson's been quarterback of the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill's points are incredibly pedestrian. Like, he is not elite. And I don't know if Tyler Huntley is going to be any different. I think it might be a little bit better because Tyler Huntley's running opportunities may open up the pass, but I think it's time to trade Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
All righty. And then on defense, would you either start Titans versus Miami or Miami versus Titans?
Okay, this is a really tough one. I can go either way on this one. Part of me is okay, here's the tough part. I think the Titans are going to win. The problem is I think the Titans are going to win. A lot of the trends suggest an 0-3 team in the spot that they're in, that team wins. So, first of all, side note on a bet I think is going to happen, Titans on the money line. But that said, do I really believe that Will Levis will not turn the ball over? No, Will Levis is going to turn the ball over, which means the Dolphins are going to get at least a turnover to their credit, probably get a couple sacks as well. And the fact that Miami has more talented offensive players like Hill and Waddle and Acham, I'll say start the Miami defense. The problem is I don't think they're going to win. It's kind of counterintuitive. I don't love saying that, but that's kind of where I'm coming out right now.
Yeah, I completely understand. It's not going to be a shootout. It's not going to be.
What do I really think it's going to be? I think it's going to be a sloppy, ugly, who the hell knows kind of game, and then it gets into the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, the Titans are a field goal away from winning, and they get into field goal range, and they barely win by like a point or two, and that's how it ends, and we're all like, man, that was one ugly-ass Monday Night Football game. That's what I think is going to happen.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one, Christian. We'll talk again soon. We have 20 people waiting on hold. First of all, you guys are freaking awesome. The loyalty, dedication, the fact that you guys are as passionate and engaged as you are, you guys are the best. I just want to shout you guys out. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're a member of this community. I love talking sports with you. Make sure you're a follower, boys and girls. Peter is next up on the line. Let's see what Peter wants to talk about. Peter, what's good?
Hi. I'm in an 8-man league, and Mike Evans and Dave Montgomery are on my bench, and they switch between my flex.
Yep.
And I was just wondering if I should package them to trade for CeeDee Lamb.
No, I wouldn't. And here's what I would say, and it's similar to a question we got a little bit earlier. The difference between Mike Evans and CeeDee Lamb is pretty big. Is the difference David Montgomery? No, David Montgomery's worth more than that margin of difference. So if you send someone other than Montgomery, a lesser player, then maybe I could be talked into it. But the combination of Montgomery, a really valuable running back, and Mike Evans, a wide receiver one, that's too many points to give up for just CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I was just wondering because my other wide receivers are Rashee Rice and Jamar Chase, and then on my bench I have DJ Moore.
Dude, you're killing it. You're killing it. And here's my point. So even in getting CeeDee Lamb, that means you're going to have to force CeeDee Lamb into a crowded wide receiver group. Funny enough, if I were to trade Evans and Montgomery, based on what you're saying, I'd go after a running back. Sounds like you're so deep at wide receiver. Why are you trading a valuable running back to get a wide receiver?
My running backs are Saquon and James Cook.
Here's what I would say, though. 2 running backs in fantasy is not enough. Because you're going to have bye weeks, you're going to have injuries, so don't give up depth at running back to add another wide receiver to an already crowded room. David Montgomery has more value on your team than you're giving credit. And by the way, in an 8-man league, every team is loaded. Every team is stacked in an 8-man league, or at least it should be. Wide receiver, a lot of people have good wide receivers. It's really hard to have 3 top 10, top 12 running backs. You could have that. Those teams usually win in an 8-man league.
Should I try going for Bijan then, or someone like that?
Exactly. Do I think you're going to get it? Probably not, because I wouldn't. If I were the Bijan owner, I wouldn't do it. But if you told me you were trading Evans and Montgomery for Bijan, do I like the trade? No, but that makes more sense than CeeDee Lamb. Personally, I'd probably hold on to Evans and Montgomery. I think those are 2 pretty valuable players. But if you really want to make that kind of move where, like, I lock in Bijan as my third wide receiver, my third running back rather, it's totally fine with me. I think Evans and Montgomery is fine for Bijan.
All right, and what are your thoughts on Trey McBride?
First of all, other than Brock Bowers, he's been a top 3 tight end in fantasy so far. So he's lived up to the expectations. I don't have a problem with him. I'm just concerned about concussion protocol. He's got to clear that to be able to play this week. I love his matchup. I so hope he's healthy because he could have a monster game against the Commanders. But make sure you have an insurance policy on the bench in case he isn't available to go because of the concussion.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Have a good one, Peter. We'll talk again soon. Let's go to our next caller. It's going to be Adeniyi. I'm going to get that name wrong. Forgive me. I'm just going to say what's up, but I want to get the name right. Hey, how do you pronounce your name?
Adeniyi.
How you doing, Adeni?
I'm good.
I hope I pronounced that right, and if I didn't, I'm very sorry.
Yeah, you good.
How can I help you out?
Okay, so I traded Ayuk and Swift for Najaris and Hopkins.
Say that one more time.
I traded Ayuk and Swift away from my team for Najaris and Hopkins.
I'm sorry, who's the first? I heard Hopkins. Who's the first player you got?
Oh, I got Hopkins and Najaris back, but I traded Ayuk and Swift away.
Yeah, you're saying Najee Harris and Hopkins?
Yeah.
I don't love the trade. It's okay. Here's why it might work out, and it's a bit of a risk. DeAndre Hopkins is on the trade block. The Tennessee Titans are trying to trade him because they're 0-3 and there are teams that want a wide receiver. So that trade might actually be a good one in a couple weeks. If DeAndre Hopkins gets traded to a playoff contender, look at like the St. Louis. Look at the Los Angeles Rams. Like, he could go out to the Rams because they're having wide receiver issues. There are a couple teams that could be in that market. So I like the trade a little bit more. I don't love it, but it actually might end up being a really good trade in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. The other thing I'm trying to.
Oh, you got to stay on TikTok. If you leave TikTok, you mute yourself, and I can't hear you, bud.
Oh, okay. The other trade I'm trying to work on here is I'm trying to see if I should trade for Singletary after this week.
Okay, here's the problem. If you were going to trade for Singletary, it should have been for this week.
J.D. Reed and Ezekiel Elliott for Singletary.
Yeah, don't do it. Singletary's value was so much about this week. If you don't have Singletary for this week, he's not worth trading for future weeks. This was the week to own him. Don't do that deal. Don't do it. You got me? Don't do the trade. Okay, he dropped on us. Hopefully he got the advice that he needed. We're going to go to our next caller. Ryan is going to be next on the line. Ryan, what's good?
What's up, Fumble? How you doing, man?
I'm loving life. How can I help you?
All right, 2 positions I just want to tackle with you. One that's kind of been a tough one for everybody this year, tight end. I got Mark Andrews. He's a real pain in my butt. And I just picked up Conklin off waivers.
Oh, I like Conklin this week. You just hit on one of the names I like this week. I was doing my research for player prop bets that go into our newsletter, and Tyler Conklin is actually a sneaky good play. He's not a sexy play. He's not going to have a monster game, but he's got sneaky value. He averages about 3-4 catches a game, averages about 40-45 yards. If he gets in the end zone, I don't know.
I like him. My thing was, Andrews hasn't done anything anyway.
The problem is I can't rightly say start Conklin over Andrews. I can't say that, especially when Denver is so good against the pass. So the answer is no, I would start Andrews over Conklin. But it's funny you brought up a name actually that I don't hate. I think Conklin's kind of a sneaky play this week, but I'd still start Mark Andrews. And yeah, I would hate my life while I do it.
I mean, that's kind of the boat I'm in. My hope after last week is that Conklin kind of earned Rodgers' trust, and maybe he looks for him in the end zone here and there.
I both totally agree with you, but to me, the only reason I'm going to throw some cold water on that is the Denver Broncos are an elite pass defense. If they were going up against the lesser pass defense this week, I might buy into it more. I think you're right. I think he's building a case for getting more targets and getting more opportunities, but I think he's, like I said, I think he's going to get, are you in a PPR league?
I am, yeah.
Okay, I think he's going to get you about 6.5 to 8.5 points. If that's worth it to you, fine. But I don't think he's going to get double digits. I'll put it that way. I think Mark Andrews has a greater chance of getting double digits than Tyler Conklin does.
Sure. I lost by like 6 points last week, and Mark Andrews put up like 0 or 1 point. So that it broke my heart. But
welcome to the club, bud. Fantasy football is nothing but a ball waxing experience.
Exactly. So the last position I want to tackle is quarterback. So I drafted Jordan Love with the idea of, I had him last year, and I drafted him like the last round last year, and he was amazing.
He was amazing.
And I'm like, this guy's going to cook. But now I got Jaden Daniels, and I'm like...
And Jaden Daniels is the man. Jaden Daniels is not a one-week wonder. He's not a short-term thing. Jaden Daniels is as real as it comes. This dude is a future superstar, and by the way, the future is now. He's going to be a top 5, top 6 fantasy quarterback for the rest of the year. Not just because of his arm. The dude gets rushing touchdowns, he gets rushing yards, but he doesn't put himself in harm's way quite like some of the other rushing quarterbacks do. I'm so high on him. I like Jordan Love for certain weeks, sure. But Jaden Daniels is going to probably be your quarterback more often than not.
That's kind of what I was assuming, and then my thought was just either maybe try to like move Jordan Love to someone with a weaker quarterback, or just
keep him on the bench. Keep him on the bench, Ryan. Jaden Daniels is one hit away from being out for a week. Like, he does have that risk. So the moment you trade Jordan Love, you know what's going to happen. That's the week Jaden Daniels takes a big hit and has to be sidelined for a week or two. Like, you know that's going to happen. So keep Jordan Love on your bench. Jordan Love is your backup quarterback? Where do I sign up for that if he's fully healthy? I love that combo. So I wouldn't overreact. I'd keep both of them as long as you have the roster spots to do it. If you're like, oh, I really want to pick up some extra running backs or wide receivers and I don't want to hold on to 2 quarterbacks, then like, okay, then drop Jordan Love. But frankly, I'd probably hold both.
Okay, that's fair. So just to wrap that, and I'm in a similar headspace as far as this goes, but Jaden Daniels is getting the start every week until proven otherwise, right?
It's still, I would evaluate them based on the matchup. I'm usually not like a lock-it-in guy every week. I'm still like, I look at the matchups. If Jaden Daniels were to go up against one of the best defenses in the league and Jordan Love's facing one of the worst, okay, I know who I'm starting that week. But if I am playing the mindless plug-it-in game, or who do I at least have as my default guy in that spot, it's going to be Jaden Daniels for now.
Fair. I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Have a good one, Ryan. We'll talk again soon. Let's get to a couple written questions, just because I know some folks are being really patient there. Big Tooley, I would go Devin Singletary. Big Tooley, Devin Singletary. Firefighter, I would go Marvin Harrison Jr. and DK. Firefighter, Marvin Harrison Jr. and DK would be the 2. If you also need one for the flex, I would go Jawan Jennings. If you want to start Neighbors, that's fine, but I'm really worried about him this week. I know he's been putting up monster numbers. Fine, DK, Harrison Jr., and Neighbors in the flex, but I'm worried about Neighbors not having the game you expect him to. Should I start Nico Dowdle? I don't understand what the Nico Dowdle love's about. Everyone keeps bringing him up. I don't get it. Apple Muncher. Should I put Jacobs at my flex or Neighbors? I'd go Neighbors. The Minnesota Vikings run defense, very, very good. Aiden Thompson, trade CMC, Drake London, and Charbonnet for Pollard and JT. Yes, Aiden Thompson, I do the trade. Nathan Crap. Start 3. Nathan, I'd start McLaurin, I'd start Robinson, and I'd start Johnson. Those would be the 3. Let's get back to some of these callers. We're going to go to Luke Dalton. Luke Dalton's going to be our next caller up on the line. He was next in the queue. Luke, what's good?
Yo, so should I start Deontay Johnson or George Pickens?
I'm going to say George Pickens, like, by a very, very slim margin. Very slim, but I'll say George Pickens.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one, Luke. We'll talk soon. Let's get to our next caller. It's going to be, let's go to Brandon Lee. Let's go to Brandon Lee. Let's see what Brandon wants to talk about. Brandon, we talked earlier?
Yeah, we did.
What's up, bud? How can I help you?
So I'm on the road, and I've been listening to it the whole time, so I was like, man, I got another question for you.
All right, real quick so I can get to some other folks. But, yeah, real quick.
Absolutely. So I have T.J. Hawkinson, Tyler Conklin, and Evan Ingram. I just need you to, like, help me work out my
Evan Ingram's number one. Evan Ingram's number one. Tyler Conklin's a nice little backup play for the moment in case you have an injury there. But Hawkinson, obviously, if you have the IR and you can stash him there for future weeks. But that's how I would rank those three.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Have a good one. Let's get to our next caller. I'm going to try and focus on folks who haven't been up yet since we have 21 people waiting on hold. So if you've been on already, forgive me, but we're gonna try and let others go.
Yeah.
Jude is next up on the line. Hey, Jude.
Hi, do you think I should start Jaden Reed or keep in Malik Neighbors? I'm like debating because Jalen Reed had a 30-point game, but he's been doing shit ever since.
No, it's a really tough call. I'm going to go Neighbors on this one. I don't love his matchup, but Neighbors has been so good through the year so far. And Jaden Reed's matchup this week is a tough one against the Vikings. I'll go Neighbors just barely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Have a good one, Jude. Let's get to our next caller. It's going to be Brady Kaufman. Brady Kaufman's been waiting patiently. Let's see what Brady wants to talk about. Oh, you dropped on us, Brady. Right as we went to you, you dropped on us? What's about that? Let's go to Ricky. Ricky's going to be next up on the line. Hopefully Brady connects again. Ricky, what's good? What's happening?
I'm just trying to figure out, I want to pick up Bucky Irvin, and I'm in a 10-man.
Yep.
I don't even know if it's worth it. My running back room on my bench is Montgomery, Robinson Jr., and J.K. Dobbins.
It's not as deep as you think it is. I'd go pick up Bucky Irving for sure.
For who? My receivers is JSN, Deontay, DJ Moore, and Khalil.
Who else do you got?
Actually, I'm trading Deontay for Nico Collins now.
Okay. Who else do you got on that bench?
That's my entire bench right there.
Really? Man, I think I like Bucky more than J.K. Dobbins. It's not a popular thing to say given how J.K. did the first few weeks of the season, but all of a sudden that Chargers offensive line's a little banged up, Herbert's a little banged up, and Bucky Irving looks like he's the next guy on that Tampa Bay team. I understand J.K. might be the RB1 now, and Rachaad White's the RB1 for Tampa Bay. I think Bucky Irving is a coming dude. That dude is fast. I think he's going to get more carries. I think he's going to be RB1 by week 10. So I wish you could trade Dobbins, and that way you get some value for him. But you don't even have a spot. You don't even have a So yeah, I'd probably drop J.K. Dobbins to pick up Bucky Irving. Though someone's going to pick up J.K. the moment you drop him.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I might just try to trade 2 for 1.
That's what I would do. Yeah, that's what I would do. Get some value back for that player.
Okay, cool. And one more quick question.
Sure.
I have Tyreek in an 8-man league. I want to start Marvin Harrison Jr., but I'm really questionable on Tyreek. I have you said Olave already, right?
Yep.
It was Olave, Pickens, and
Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh, sorry. Who were they?
It was JSN, Deontay, Olave, Tyreek Hill, and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, it's Olave and Marvin Harrison Jr. would be the 2 for me.
Okay. And then I should start Chuba at flex?
Yeah, he's got a great matchup against the Bengals run defense, so yeah.
Okay. And also I'm really looking at subscribing. I'm very interested, mostly just to show you some support, but also I feel like those sub-only lives will be very helpful.
Yeah, I have to admit, those are really helpful because people get a lot of questions answered. If you don't come on as a caller, it's kind of hard to get multiple questions answered. I would certainly appreciate it, you know that, but I'm only, shilling for myself there, so.
All right, I got you, man. Have a great day.
Have a good one, Ricky. Hope you do subscribe soon. Let's go to Jay. Let's see what Jay wants to talk about. Jay's our next up on the line. Jay, what's good? Jay, you with us?
Just give me just 1 second, please. There's a storm here. I'm trying to fix my.
Jay, why don't you call us back, bud? Call us back. Unfortunately, with 18 people on hold, it's not that I don't understand the circumstances of a storm. I totally get it. Just call us back when you're available. I know you might not have been ready. It's no issue. Let's go to Zane Lyons. Right now, Zane Lyons is a top 5 viewer on our show right now. Got to show love to that. Zane, what's good?
Hey, I was wondering if you would start
Neighbors, Flowers, or Shaheed?
I gotta say Neighbors. I don't like it. It's close between Flowers and Neighbors. I'm putting maybe too much stock in the first 3 weeks as opposed to this week's matchup. I'm going to go Neighbors. Neighbors has been a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy. Gotta go Neighbors.
Okay, and then for a flex, would you do Flowers, Shaheed, or Aaron Jones?
The only... I'm gonna say Zay Flowers. I don't love it because I think Aaron Jones could have a decent revenge game against the Packers. But if I just base it on the matchup and not the narrative of like a revenge game, then I think Flowers is the better play.
Okay, thank you.
You have a great one.
You too.
Let's get to our next caller. Let's get Jay back on the line. Hopefully Jay's ready to go now. Let's see what Jay wants to talk about. By the way, the RJ, thanks for sharing the channel. Jay, what's good?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What's up?
Okay, perfect. So I have Bijan Robinson, David Montgomery, and James Conner. And so I was thinking about moving Bijan because he has like a lot of value. Would you trade Bijan for
No.
Jonathan Taylor? Oh, no.
No, go ahead. You had me interested all of a sudden. Jonathan Taylor and who?
Well, I have somebody in the league that's 0-3. And I think I might be able to get Jonathan Taylor, Travis Kelce, and D-Hop for Bijan.
Okay. When you first said trade Bijan, I was saying no. And in my mind, it was like it had to be what I call a Godfather offer. We all know what a Godfather offer is, right? We all know what it is. It's an offer you can't refuse. JT, Kelce, and DeAndre Hopkins is a Godfather offer. I would do that trade. One player, and I'm getting 3. And one of them's an RB1, one of them's a tight end one who's going to have value, and one's DeAndre Hopkins whose value could leap up if he's traded in the next few weeks. Jay, make that trade.
Okay, thank you.
Love it. Jay, stay safe in the storm, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Let's get to our next caller. By the way, before we do, to everyone who's going through this hurricane back in the States, please stay safe. I know there's going to be some crazy water surges there. If you can evacuate, if you can get to high ground, if you can get to a safe place, do so. Do so. Weather is freaking scary, guys. If you've ever been in a hurricane, please stay safe. I want everyone to be able to talk to us for many, many more weeks of not just fantasy football, but a lot of other sports weeks ahead. So please stay safe. I know it's crazy out there right now. Steve, let's talk to Steve TX. Let's see what Steve wants to talk about.
Sure, just quick question.
Sure, Steve.
Or maybe two. Some guy, I've been trying to get rid of Amari Cooper and Zamir White, and somebody just offered me T. Higgins for both of them. And my other receivers are DJ Moore and Amon-Ra. So I really want to get rid of Zamir White, and Amari Cooper is just kind of, from week to week.
The problem is, I personally, do I think it's the fair trade for you? No. Amari Cooper is a wide receiver 1 on his team. T. Higgins is a wide receiver 2 on his. And you're giving up a running back to get a player who's lower on the depth chart. I get what you're trying to do. I just don't think you're accomplishing it with that trade. That makes sense?
Yeah. And one quick question. I'm probably not going to do the trade anyways, but in the flex, Steele, Ford, or Cooper? Half point PPR.
I think it's got to be Ford, just barely. The Raiders are bad in the pass. They're bad in the run, but they're worse in the run, so I'll take Ford like barely, but it's close.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You have a great one, Steve TX. We appreciate you watching the show. Let's get to our next caller. Our next is going to be Alvaro. Alvaro is next in the queue. By the way, I know I only said I would go for an hour with callers. I'm staying on longer. You guys have my heart. Alvaro, what's good?
Yeah, just one quick question.
Sure.
Where should I start? Deontay Johnson or Devin Singletary?
Devin Singletary.
That was it. Thank you so much.
Bye, Alvaro. Let's get to our next caller. It's going to be Dalton Smith. Let's see what Dalton Smith wants to talk about. Dalton, what's good?
What's good, my man?
How can I help you?
Yeah, so I know this is going to be kind of a tough one. So do I do Josh Jacobs or DeAndre Swift?
It's Josh Jacobs, and here's why. DeAndre Swift has a great matchup. but he's not running back 1 anymore. They are putting him at running back 2, and they're giving Roschon Johnson more opportunities because DeAndre Swift has been bad in the first 3 weeks. Like, bad on tape, bad statistically. He hasn't delivered up to the contract they signed him to. So actually, DeAndre Swift should be a good play if it wasn't for Roschon Johnson. Because of Roschon Johnson, I'm going to take Josh Jacobs, even though he's got the worst matchup.
Yeah, and then so for my flex, I have Michael Pittman Jr., and I know he's been doing bad the last couple of weeks.
And he's got a terrible matchup. The matchup against the Steelers is brutal.
Yeah, so for my flex, I have, like I said, Michael Pittman Jr. Do I put either Hopkins, Swift, or Jameson Williams for that flex?
The problem is I really want to say Swift. Like, it should be Swift. And I'm willing to almost gamble it because maybe they're splitting carries. They both have good games. I really want to say Swift.
Yeah, because I know, like I said, my flex is Michael Pittman Jr., Swift, or Williams, or Hopkins. And I know Williams.
Jameson Williams, bad matchup. DeAndre Hopkins is probably the best one outside of DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I come down, Dalton. It is a tough spot. I don't have a great vibe on that one because I think you're right. I think 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, oh, DeAndre Swift, no-brainer. But once they come out saying that he's going to be splitting carries, man, you don't quite know what you're getting. You're back to kind of that mystery of week 1.
So you think Swift over Pittman?
I would just one, I hate the matchup for Pittman, and 2, Swift's got the good matchup. I'll go with the good matchup even though he's getting fewer carries.
Okay, and then last question. I appreciate your advice.
Mm-hmm.
So do I do McLaurin or Juwan Jennings? And I know McLaurin had a great game last week, and I know Juwan Jennings had a good game last week too. So it's just like, which one do you pick?
So where I come out on this one is the Patriots are the 6th worst pass defense in the league. If Deebo Samuel is back, I'm going to not go with Juwan Jennings. If Deebo Samuel is out, I'm going to go Juwan Jennings. Because if nothing else, they're going to feed him the football. Patriots are pretty good against the run. They're bad against the pass. I'm expecting Brock Purdy in the passing game to have a big one. I'll go Juwan Jennings just barely.
You think Deebo comes back or no?
The answer is I don't know. This is one of those where I wish I was an insider, but actually I'm in the same spot you are. I'm following tweets and reports and injury reports and all that. So right now, I don't know, but how would I play it? I play it with Juwan Jennings until I hear Deebo is playing.
Okay, I appreciate your advice, my man.
You have a good one, Dalton. We'll talk again soon. Let's get to our next caller on the line. And our next caller is going to be Ghost555. Let's see what Ghost555 wants to talk about. Ghost, what's good?
What's going on, brother?
How can I help you?
Two questions. Would you trade Tony Pollard and Deebo for James Conner and Jaden Reed?
Tony Pollard and who?
Deebo. So
No, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it? Okay.
No, I'd hold on to Deebo, and I'd expect his value to go up once he's healthy.
Okay. And second, what are your thoughts on Rico Dowdle tonight?
Why are people about Rico Dowdle? Why are people high on Rico Dowdle? Why are people trying to tell me about Rico Dowdle? Has he done anything? Am I missing something? Is Rico Dowdle better than I think he is?
I mean, his snap shares continue to go up week per week. So.
Is that what we're basing it on? Are we basing it on snap shares?
Snap shares, snap percentage just goes higher and higher every week.
He's still the running back 2 behind Zeke though, right?
Yeah, but on the field you can see that Rico Dowdle plays way more snaps than Zeke.
But I'm just gonna say this. I don't care about snap percentage. The dude has 8 carries for 32 yards, 7 carries for 30 yards, 8 carries for 26. Whatever people are smoking when it comes to Rico Dowdle, give me one hit of it because it'll knock me the fuck out. I don't understand why people like this guy. Guy hasn't cracked 33 rushing yards in any game he's played this year. Why am I excited about him? Like, I just don't understand. It's not a knock on you. I just don't get why so many people. It must be because running back there's so little depth. But like, what has he done? Like, Okay, fine. I guess combined receiving and rushing yards, he's averaging about like 50 yards a game. I guess that's 5 fantasy points, maybe a couple more because of the PPR. So I guess he's worth about 6.5 fantasy points a game at his ceiling. Okay.
I agree. It's been a struggle because I lost Pacheco, so like it's literally running backs are falling all over the league.
Totally understand this. But here's what I'm really going to say. Don't follow the running back. This is counterintuitive. Don't follow the running back. Follow the offensive line. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line is bad. It's not what it was a few years ago. They're having trouble. This is what I'm focused on. Why are certain running backs who are backups good? Because they got a good O-line. They get on the field and they pop because, frankly, they got good blockers in front of them. Rico Dowdle isn't talent. He's not that fast. He's not that big. He's not that strong. He's not that elusive. He does nothing at an elite level. He doesn't have an elite offensive line. There's nothing about him that stands out that goes, that's why I believe in him. There's not one like green flag. So I get for depth, like again, his ceiling is probably about 6.5 fantasy points. If you really need to slot him in because you have no one else, I guess that's what you got to do. But if you're asking, would I start Rico Dowdle? If you're starting Rico Dowdle, I think you got larger issues than Rico Dowdle.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Have a good one, Ghost. I'm just trying to tell it to you straight. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. You guys know I'm on your side. I want you guys to win. So if I ever give you sharp, straight advice, it's never meant to stab you. It's only meant to inform you. Let's go to Habibi. Habibi, I think is how I pronounce it. Let's see what he wants to talk about. Habibi, what's good?
What's up, brother? How are you?
How can I help you?
So, my flex spot, I'm having trouble because I have a couple players I'm trying to decide between. I got Darnell Mooney, Michael Pittman, Cam Akers if Joe Mixon's out, and then one more was who was it?
Right now, for the moment, I'm big. For the moment, it's Mooney.
It's Mooney for the moment?
Yep.
Okay, that's all, brother. Thank you.
Have a good one. We'll talk again soon. Let's get to our next caller. Our next on the line is going to be Matthew. Let's see what. By the way, the RJ, thanks for sharing the channel. The RJ is becoming a favorite of mine. The RJ, keep sharing that channel, buddy. We appreciate you. Matthew, next caller on the line. What's good?
What's up, man?
How can I help you?
So I just traded Devon Achane and George Pickens for Stephon Diggs and Gibbs.
It's a fair trade. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's okay.
I have one more question, sorry.
Sure.
I just got offered Marvin Harrison and who else? Marvin Harrison and I think Stevenson for Josh Allen.
Wow, I would do that deal. I know people are going to be like, you don't give up Josh Allen. Josh Allen's not nearly as valuable as he was last year. He doesn't get rushing touchdowns like he used to. So I actually think that's a really good trade because Josh Allen's value is kind of like, it's good value in reality. In fantasy, it's a little bit less than actually it should be because he's not getting those rushing touchdowns. Those are now going to James Cook. So I really like that trade, Matthew. I'd definitely do it.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one, Matthew. We'll talk again soon. Next caller up on the line. Some of you guys might have been getting help from him in the chat. Let's see what he needs help with. Javi, you're next up on the line. I saw Javi was giving out fantasy advice of his own. Javi, how'd you do? Did you give out some good advice?
Hey. Listen, I got a few questions, man.
Sure.
So, I am very contemplative on Malik Neighbors against, the Cowboys. I kind of trust his game. I just don't know how he's going to do tonight, and it's only because,
Here's my expectation. My expectation for him is he gets 4 or 5 catches for about 65, 70 yards. I think it's all about whether he gets a touchdown. I don't think he's going to have a big game in terms of yardage. I think Diggs is, for the most part, going to contain him in terms of yards.
Absolutely.
They're going to target him a lot, so in the PPR game, I like him enough because he'll get 4 or 5 catches. But to me, Malik Neighbors' value is whether he gets a touchdown or not, because I don't see him having a 100-yard game this week.
Okay, and now I'm going to ask you a crazy question.
Sure.
I'm not liking Amon-Ra this week. They play.
Yep, the Seahawks, best pass defense in the league. Yep.
So, should I start Ayuk over Amon-Ra? It's tough. Man.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, and here's the reason why. I know Ayuk's got a tough matchup against Christian Gonzalez, but the Patriots' pass defense is much worse than the Seahawks. Much worse than the Seahawks. And so if Ayuk just doesn't get paired up against Christian Gonzalez for a handful of times, he should be able to get more points. So I'd go Ayuk on that one.
Okay, and then listen, my very last question. I have J.K. Dobbins as my RB1, and then Jonathan Taylor as my RB2. On the bench, I've got Kenneth Walker and Bucky Irving.
I don't like J.K. Dobbins this week. Why do we like J.K. Dobbins this week?
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking. Like, is there a reason you had J.K. Dobbins as your number one? Or was that a default?
He's only in the number one spot because I don't know about Kenneth Walker yet. I don't know if he's going to...
I actually like Bucky Irving actually the most out of the three names that you mentioned. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are...
I haven't started him yet, so I'm interested. I haven't started him yet.
Eagles' run defense, suspect. Bottom 10 in the league. Has had some issues, especially with speed backs, and that's what Bucky Irving is. Kansas City Chiefs' run defense... I always, even if their numbers aren't great, and they're okay, they're giving up about 113 rush yards per game, about the same as the Miami Dolphins, so Kenneth Walker III would be in a similar spot, that's Tennessee. Miami's playing Tennessee. Tennessee's run defense is a little bit worse, so yeah, I would play Kenneth Walker III over J.K. Dobbins in that situation, but I think I'd like Bucky Irving the most, though.
All right. And here's to hoping that I get my boy Neighbors torching the shit out of Diggs tonight.
Okay, this is what we want. I would love if your boy Neighbors torches Diggs, but I still got Cowboys on the money line, so let's not go too crazy. We want our bets to cash.
I appreciate you, man.
Have a good one, Abby. We'll talk again soon. I have been live for 2 hours and 23 minutes. I promised you guys yesterday I'd be live for 2 hours. I've been a man of my word. After a 10-course Michelin star meal here in Rome, I came back to my Airbnb, I got on live, and I've been live with you guys for 2 hours and 23 minutes. The only reason I bring that up is, you know who loves you guys? Butt Fumble Sports loves you. Because if Butt Fumble Sports didn't love you, I'd be freaking asleep right now. It's 1:23 in the morning, and I am still rocking and rolling because you guys are bringing the energy. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going a little bit longer. Hopefully you guys hang in there with me. Let's go to our next caller. Our next caller online is going to be Ryan. Ryan, what's good?
What's up?
How can I help you, Ryan?
For you.
Sure.
So, first one is, out of these three, DJ Moore, Ramondre Stevenson, and Jerome Ford, which two would you pick?
Moore and Ford.
Okay. And then my next question is, would you start the Cowboys defense tonight or the Chiefs defense?
I'm starting the Chiefs.
Okay. And then... yeah, that should be it.
All right, Ryan, you have a nice night.
All right.
Let's get to our next caller on the line. Next in the queue is Pablito. Let's see what Pablito wants to ask about. Pablito, ¿qué pasa?
Hey, I got a couple questions here. I have two wide receivers I need to start. I have Lamb, Jawan Jennings, Xavier Worthy, and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr. and Lamb.
And Lamb. Okay, awesome. Do you like Gibbs and Kyron Williams this week?
The answer is probably yes. I think both probably get you enough points to be worth the start.
And I don't know the situation right now for the Saints. I'm not sure if Kamara is going to be healthy enough to play. I also picked up Jamal Williams just in case.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't think he's got enough value.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Have a good one. By the way, if you've been waiting on hold, I am so sorry. I wish I was able to answer everyone's question as quickly as they want, but we have 18 people on hold. We haven't had less than 16 people on hold for a long time, and like I said, we've been going for a while, so if you're on hold, I'm so sorry, but at the same time, I'm doing the best I can, so if you want to bitch about it, there's not much I can do. I'm doing all I can. Let's go to our next caller on the line. Felix Blood, what's good?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
How you doing?
Good. I got some questions for you, man.
Sure.
All right, so I sat Amari Cooper last week, man, and he went off. Should I start him over DJ Moore this week?
No, start DJ Moore.
Okay, and what about Josh Jacobs? I'm getting a little disappointed in this guy. I have Joe Mixon on the bench right now, and I have Bucky Irving also, and I have Steele.
Bucky Irving has the best matchup. Steele probably has the second best matchup. The only reason I would even consider Aaron Jones is the revenge game going up against his former team. But the Packers' run defense is pretty good, so I would probably sit Aaron Jones in lieu of Irving or in lieu of Carson Steele.
Oh, I don't have Jones. I have Joe Mixon.
I thought you said you had Aaron Jones.
No. Mixon, Cameron Steele on my bench, and Josh Jacobs. I was kind of...
Oh, Josh Jacobs. Sorry. I confused the two running backs in that game. My bad.
Yeah.
So the Minnesota run defense is really good. Minnesota's the third best. So what I said about Aaron Jones, I'll double down on that for Josh Jacobs. I don't like the matchup this week for him. I'd go with Bucky, probably number 1, Carson number 2.
Okay, so what did you say again? Moore over Cooper, right?
Yep.
Alrighty. Thanks, man.
Have a good one. Because we've had so many callers already and we have so many people waiting, if you have called already, I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to get you a second time. So like Ryan, I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to get you a second time because those people have been waiting on hold. I want to get to them. They've been patient. So if you're calling a second time, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to get back on tonight. Walker Long, what's good?
Hey, man, I got a couple questions for you. First one, I got 3 receivers for you, non-PPR format. Out of these 3, which one would you bench? I got Ayuk, T. Higgins, and Khalil Shakir. Who would you set?
It's probably T. Higgins. It's close, but the Panthers' pass defense is better than the Patriots' pass defense. I know Christian Gonzalez. I talk about him a lot. He's an elite corner for the Pats, and he's going to get paired up with Ayuk. But for the times that he's not, I think Ayuk gets enough points. I'll go Ayuk on that one, and I'll probably sit Higgins because Shakir has the best matchup of the 3.
I was kind of leaning that way too, so just want your opinion on that one.
I got you, Walker.
One more for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is PPR, and just 2 guys for flex. I got BTJ, and then I just picked up Jawan Jennings. Should I ride the hot hand there? Or
for the same reason I just brought up Ayuk, the Patriots' pass defense is a bottom 6 pass defense in the league. So I like Jawan Jennings, especially as I just mentioned, if I think Christian Gonzalez is going to cover Ayuk, you know who that leaves wide open against a bad pass defense? Jawan Jennings. So I really like Jawan Jennings this week.
I gotcha. And then BTJ, I mean, he's looked so good on tape, but...
Well, he's looked good in reality, too. I just don't like the matchup as much. The Houston Texans pass defense is good enough. Texans are a top 6 pass defense right now. That's why the matchup to me is everything. If the matchup were more even, you could talk me into it, but for now, it's Jawan Jennings because Houston Texans are good against the pass, Patriots are not.
Right on, man. All right, that's all I got for...
Let's see you. I'll catch you later, Walker. Let's go to our next caller. It's going to be Rob. Rob's our next caller on the line. By the way, the RJ, you're the best, man. I appreciate sharing the channel like you are. Rob, what's good?
Hey, man. How you been doing, man?
Dude, I'm crushing it. It's 1:30 in the morning in Rome, and I'm still talking to you. It must be a good time.
Let's swap places.
How can I help you?
All right. I got Darnold and Carr this week. What do you think?
I'd go Darnold.
In another league, I got Murray and Seahawks quarterback.
Geno Smith and who?
Geno Smith and Murray.
Kyler Murray. Gotta start him.
Got it, man. And defense, man. I've been struggling with defense right now. I'm in between Seahawks and Raiders.
I'm going to go Raiders just barely. Raiders have the better matchup. I'll go Raiders.
All right, man. Well, keep at it, bro. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Rob. We'll talk again soon. Let's go to our next caller. Let's go to Luke. Luke's our next caller on the line. If you're waiting patiently, we'll get to everyone we can. Working as hard as I can. Luke, what's good?
Hey, what's up, man?
How can I help you?
I got a couple questions this week. I'm playing my best friend, so I gotta beat him.
So you gotta beat him. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Gotta stay on TikTok, Luke. You move off TikTok, you mute yourself.
Okay, so do I start Kyler Murray or Lamar this week?
Kyler Murray.
Okay, and then for wide receiver, should I go Mike Evans or Deontay Johnson? Because Mike Evans has been pretty disappointing lately.
Mike Evans or who?
Deontay Johnson.
It's Mike Evans. The matchup this week's a good one. Go Mike Evans. I know he's been disappointing, but he's had some tough matchups the past couple of weeks. Denver was a really tough one with Patrick Surtain II. Don't overreact to that. It's a good matchup against the Eagles this week. By the way, even if he goes against like big game Slay or whatever, Slay has gotten sliced up the last couple of weeks, so I like Mike Evans this week.
Yeah, that's true. All right, my last question, do I go Goddard at tight end or Goddard or Ferguson?
I would go Goddard because the likelihood Devontae Smith doesn't play is pretty high, and as we saw last week, when the Eagles don't have both of their wide receivers in Brown and Smith, Goddard becomes that like second wide receiver almost because they don't have, Jahan Dotson hasn't emerged as that second guy. So as like the number 2 pass catcher, it kind of defaults to Goddard. That's why I like him a little bit more, I think. But it's very close because we don't quite know the injury status of all the Eagles yet.
All right, I got you. That's it, man. Thank you.
Have a good one, Luke. Good luck against your friend. Hopefully you kick his ass. Let's get to our next caller. Next caller on the line is going to be Marlon. We're getting to as many as we can, as fast as we can. Marlon, you're up.
Okay. So,
Marlon, you got to stay on TikTok, bud. Once you leave TikTok, you go away. What's good?
hello?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, should I play either Ford or Dowell this week?
Ford.
Okay, should I play Scary Terry or JSN?
Scary Terry.
Then should I play Lamar or should I play Geno Smith?
Ooh, tough. I'll go Lamar barely.
Okay, that's it.
Have a good one, Marlon. Good luck this week. Let's get to our next caller. Next on the line is going to be Josh Martinez. I'm just going to order of the queue. I'm not playing favorites. I'm not doing... It's just who's next on line. Josh Martinez, what's good?
Hey, what's up, man?
How can I help you?
Hey, man, so I'm trying to figure out who should I start as my QB this week? Should I start Jalen Hurts or Baker Mayfield?
I like them both this week. That's a tough one. I like them both this week. If all things are even, I'd go Jalen Hurts. If A.J. Brown is healthy, I'll put it this way. If A.J. Brown plays, I'd go Jalen Hurts. If A.J. Brown is out and Devontae Smith is out, I'll go Baker Mayfield. Because they're playing each other, you'll be able to monitor that very easily. You're not going to have, starting time issues. So if A.J. Brown plays or Devontae Smith plays, I'd go Jalen Hurts. If both of them are out, I'd go Baker.
Got you, man. So I also have should I keep on starting Laporta or should I start Komet?
I'd stay with Laporta for one more week.
Got you. Well, and I got one more question, man. So I'm thinking about trading Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, and Chuba Hubbard for Rashee Rice. Is that a good trade?
I think you're giving up a little bit too much to get him. I would probably trade 2 of the 3, not all 3.
Got you. All right, man. Appreciate the time.
Have a good one. I got to admit, I'm fading a little bit, guys. We need to keep the energy up. Tipper Sevens is up next. Tipper Sevens, what's good?
Amen, brother. At the perfect hour. I am struggling this week. Devontae Smith went down. It's been brutal. Lost 2 of my first 3 games by less than a point.
Yikes.
It's been painful.
Yeah.
Painful season. 7th in points in my league, 0-3. Tough go. But so Devontae Smith went down. So my WR3 options are McConkey, Quentin Johnston, or Wan'Dale Robinson. Not ideal, but that's what I'm working with. I'm thinking about Wan'Dale at wide receiver 3, flexing Chase Brown. Any thoughts? Should I?
I think that's probably right. The problem is I don't know Herbert's status. If I knew Herbert's status, I'd say McConkey, and that's what's kind of throwing me off. Is I want to say McConkey. He's the option I probably like the most, but the problem is That game is at 4:25 on Sunday afternoon. I'm waiting so long, and I don't have that many insurance policies after. Luckily, there is a doubleheader on Monday night, so maybe you could find an insurance policy there. But really, I don't like Wan'Dale Robinson, but given Justin Herbert's status, I think that's where I'd go. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's where I was leaning to, and then I put Chase Brown in my flex this week
Because I think Chase Brown could pop. Like, this could be the week. This could be the week Chase Brown pops.
And then, do you think Laporta or Freiermuth? Freiermuth is going against one of the worst tight end defenses in the league, but I'm hoping for Laporta.
I know. That one I'd go Freiermuth, and here's the reason why. One, you mentioned it a moment ago, the matchup. Two, Justin Fields and the tight end position have a bit more going on there, and I like that. I like that combination. For me, it's Pickens 1 and Freiermuth kind of as their 2, and I like that option. I could see Fields running a good amount, but finding Freiermuth. Look, Laporta's the better tight end. Laporta should be the start. The Seahawks are the best pass defense in the league, and Laporta hasn't shown up yet. I even think he's questionable right now, though I think he's going to play. The whole point is, I think it's Freiermuth, but if you told me on Tuesday that we got that one wrong, it wouldn't shock me because we're fading one of the best tight ends in the league.
Yeah, do you think I should flex Laporta and then sit Chase Brown?
No. Let's not create two holes, but, let's not, if we fail at tight end, we fail at tight end. Let's not fail at tight end and the flex.
Right. That makes sense. And then last quick question. Baltimore is my defense. Picked them up.
Not this week, they're not. Not this week, they're not.
You should drop them, pick up Tennessee. I don't know. Who do you think I should?
I wouldn't drop. Would I drop them? I don't know if I drop them, but I would bench them in lieu of somebody else.
Okay, I've got Jaleel McLaughlin. I can drop off.
Drop him, yeah, exactly. Drop him. I don't want the running back of the Denver Broncos anyway. So drop him for the best of defense that's on the waiver wire.
Okay. All right. Thank you, big dog.
See you, Tipper. We'll talk again soon. Let's get to our next caller. Let's go to Kyle Flaherty. Kyle Flaherty is next up in the queue. Let's see what Kyle wants to talk about. He's been a loyal, patient listener. Kyle, what's good?
Yeah, I got a trade offer. I want McLaurin, and the trade is I would give up Higgins and Jameson Williams, and I would receive McLaurin and Shaheed, but I'm not sure about Shaheed.
Nah, you're not doing that trade, Kyle. We don't do that trade. You get taken advantage of in that trade. We're not doing that. No.
Yeah, my thoughts, I was going to wait for Higgins to gain more value.
Right. No. I don't like that trade at all, and I like your thought of give it a couple weeks and see if Higgins can get even more trade value.
And one more question. Do you think Alan Lazard might do something since Santana's going to shut down Wilson probably?
Here's my only issue with that. The Jets have made it known that they want to target Mike Williams more. They want to get him involved more. So I like your idea, but my problem is they're going to be spread, that other passes are going to be spread amongst Mike Williams and Lazard. So it's a little tricky there.
And how do you feel about Wan'Dale Robinson tonight?
I probably like him more than Alan Lazard. I'll say that.
What do you feel about Akers if Mixon don't play?
How do I feel about that? If Mixon doesn't play, I like Cam Akers if Mixon doesn't play. If Mixon doesn't play, I think Cam Akers is a solid start. Is he a great start? No, he's a solid start. Jacksonville's run defense is pretty good, but I do think they use Cam Akers effectively when Mixon isn't around.
All right, that's it. I appreciate it.
Kyle, you have a great night. Enjoy the game this evening.
Cool.
Let's get to our next caller. Let's go to Matthew. Let's see what Matthew wants to talk about. Matthew's next on the line. Matthew, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm loving life. How can I help you?
All right, I got 2 quick questions for you. Tonight, the Giants are playing, and I want to know if I should start Malik Neighbors over Devontae Adams.
Malik Neighbors over Devontae Adams. The answer is yes. I don't love it, but yes, I would start Malik Neighbors over Devontae Adams.
All right, and my second question is, do I start Mike Evans over Garrett Wilson, even though I already
Yes,
have Chris
I would start Mike Evans over Garrett Wilson. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one, Matthew. Enjoy the game this evening. Let's get to our next caller. We went from Matthew to Matt. Let's see what Matt wants to talk about. Matt's next in the queue. Matt, what's up?
Yo, can you hear me?
I can.
What's up, man? Oh my God, I love you, Buffalo. First of all,
Matt, we appreciate the love, bud.
All right, I have one question for today.
What's up?
And it has nothing to do with tonight's game, but for Sunday.
Sure.
All right. So I'm my flex, right? I have Juwan Jennings right now at my flex. So should I have him on my flex or on my bench? I have Cam Akers. I have Carson Steele from the Chiefs. I have who's my other guy? And I have Christian Kirk.
So it's not Kirk. Give me the other three again.
Cam Akers and Carson Steele.
And who is the
Juwan Jennings.
Juwan Jennings is the play. Juwan Jennings is my favorite one. Great matchup against the Patriots. Ayuk is going to be covered by Gonzalez. Jennings should have a really good second game. And there's no one else that you've mentioned that gets me excited enough to overtake Jennings in that spot.
Yeah. Wait. I made a trade today. I don't know if I should have done it. I thought I should have done it, but I had Terry McLaurin and Jerry Jeudy, and someone offered me Garrett Wilson and Christian Kirk for that, and I saw the Garrett Wilson, so I kind of just accepted it. You think that was a good idea?
You accepted the trade. You're getting Wilson and Kirk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the trade. I like it. I'd approve it. Yep.
All right, yeah. I mean, it's too late because I can't do anything with it.
Well, at least I can give you some validation after the fact.
Yeah. All right, man. You have a good night.
Matt, you're the man. Appreciate the kind words. Let's get to our next caller. We're going to JDC. Let's see what JDC wants to talk about this evening. By the way, it is 1:42 in the morning where I am, so it is morning for sure. JDC, what's good?
What's up, brother?
How can I help you?
I am curious to know what you think about this starting lineup. I have so to choose between Dak and Brock tonight.
I'd go Brock Purdy.
Okay. I also have to choose between, I believe, Tank Dell and Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed from Green Bay.
Yeah. That's a really tricky one for me. Tank Dell's got the better matchup. If Jordan Love were to somehow play, I think I like Jaden Reed a little bit more. But as of right now, everything that I know, I'd go Tank Dell just barely.
Got it. I also have Jennings. I was just curious to know if you...
I like Jennings better than both of them.
Yeah, he's in my starting lineup.
Good.
I'm curious to know. I need to try to trade him.
Yes, you do. After this week against the Patriots, try to offer him and see who gives up a good deal.
Got it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Have a great one, JDC. Appreciate the call. Let's get to our next caller on the line. It's going to be Bill. Let's see what Bill wants to talk about at 1:43 in the morning Rome time. Let's see what Bill wants to talk about. Bill, what's good?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can, Bill. How can I help you?
Oh, awesome. Hey, so I had a question. I have, I've been debating between Connors and Neighbors at one of my flex spots.
Yeah.
My RB1 is Breece Hall. My wide receiver one is I'm thinking Rashee Rice.
I'm gonna make this easy for you. I'm gonna go Malik Neighbors just barely. It's very, very close. The James Conner matchup is just not good enough for me. The Washington Commanders' run defense is kind of middle of the pack. Meanwhile, Malik Neighbors has been a top 5 fantasy wide receiver so far this year. I got to go with Neighbors until the magic runs out.
Okay, and then just to finish this up, so my setup is running back, wide receiver, and then 3 flex. So I have 6 options, and I kind of wanted you to pick 3. It's
go for it.
Connors, Nico Collins, Deontay Johnson, Neighbors, Harrison, and Mason.
Harrison, Neighbors, and Nico Collins.
Harrison, Neighbors, and Nico Collins. Okay. That is okay. I got the only difference I have right now is I got Mason in, and okay.
Patriots are a better run defense than they are a pass defense, so I'm expecting the Patriots to be better against the run. That's why I'm not on Mason.
Okay, I appreciate it very much.
Bill, you have a great evening. Let's get to our next caller. Let's see how many more we can get to. Jay Strizzle. Jay Strizzle is next up on the line. I know Jay Strizzle has been wicked patient this evening. Jay, thanks for being patient, bud. What's good?
Oh, shit, man. Sorry, I didn't realize.
Here you go. Here you were like, when am I going to get on? He gets on, and he's like, oh, my God, I'm on. What's up, Jay?
I told you I was like, I'm gonna throw one in there from yesterday. I'm gonna ask you an open-ended question. I waited.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, so are you rocking with Broncos defense this week?
Am I rocking with the Broncos defense this week? What are my options this week? I think is part of the question. Do I love the Broncos defense? No. And the only reason I don't love them is because Aaron Rodgers gets a passing touchdown every week. It is one of the more automatic things right now in the NFL. Breece Hall is a really talented running back. And the Denver Broncos, they're not terrible against the run, but they're on the bad side of middle. You know, like they're mid, but they're towards the bad side. I think they're okay. I don't think the Jets put up a monster game. If you told me the Jets put up 24 points, that sounds about right. It sounds like a ceiling for them. Do I see Aaron Rodgers maybe throwing a pick? Sure. But I don't love that defense as much as maybe some of the other options out there. Jay Strizzle, you got to stay on the app for me to hear you. Otherwise, you mute yourself.
We got Dolphins, Colts, Cowboys, and Chiefs.
I'd go Chiefs. The Los Angeles Chargers are banged up. Herbert's hurt. Alt is hurt. That offensive line isn't what it was a couple weeks ago. So I actually would take the Chiefs defense.
All right, check that. Last one.
Yep.
Derek Carr, Anthony Richardson, you already said no to previously. And should I pick up Daniel Jones? Because that's my only option.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So I mentioned it earlier. I think Daniel Jones actually is a decent option this week. I know it sounds crazy. I'll probably still play Derek Carr, like barely. The reason for that actually is and this is a bit of a betting note for all those bettors out there, when Derek Carr follows a home loss as an underdog, he actually plays like pretty well historically. It's just like the magic of Derek Carr. He sucks and then he's great, and then he sucks and then he's great. So I lean Derek Carr because maybe I trust him a little bit more than Daniel Jones, but I think Daniel Jones will get rushing points tonight. I just don't know what he's going to get through the air.
You believe in Josh Jacobs still? If so, would you trade Zay Flowers, Ayuk, or Jameson Williams for him?
You said Flowers, Ayuk, and Jameson Williams?
Yeah,
I think of those three, the one I would trade is Jameson Williams. His value's very high right now, but he's a wide receiver 2 on that team, and unless Amon-Ra St. Brown gets hurt, that's not going to change. Meanwhile, Flowers and Ayuk, they're wide receiver 1s. I don't have a problem going after Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to have a good back half of the year, but just keep in mind that, yeah, it is week-to-week matchup based, and he's in a tough division. Vikings are pretty good against the run. Bears aren't a bad defense. Lions may be vulnerable at times, but those are 6 games out of the season, so I don't dislike Jacobs. It would probably be Jameson for Jacobs if I were going to do any trade out of that group.
All right. Sounds good, man. You sticking with Goddard this week?
For the most part, I mean, if Devontae Smith doesn't play, I would stick with Goddard. If somehow Brown and Smith play, then Goddard isn't a great own. But if Goddard is the number 2 receiving option, I like him.
All right. I'll let you get it to it then. Thank you, brother.
Have a good one, Jay. Talk again soon. Let's go to our next caller. It's going to be Jaden. Jaden is our next caller on the line as we inch ever closer to 2 a.m. in the morning where I am. Yikes. Jaden, what's good?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Can you hear me?
I can. How can I help you?
Yeah, so I had a question, boss. So if Devontae Smith can't go, would you feel better playing Amari Cooper or Scary Terry or Jameson Williams?
It's not Jameson Williams. Bad matchup. Amari Cooper, and who was the other one? Scary Terry?
Scary Terry, yes, sir.
Oh, you son of a bitch, Scary Terry. I want to say you, but it's not. It's Amari Cooper, and here's why. It's the Raiders' pass defense. The Raiders' pass defense is a bottom 10 defense in the league. The Commanders' the Arizona Cardinals' pass defense, it's a little bit better. I want to say Scary Terry because Jaden Daniels and he had been, starting to turn a corner. I could say the same thing though about Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper last week. So I think I lean Cooper over Terry McLaurin, but frankly, I think they're very similar. I think they're a similar value this week.
Yeah. Okay, boss. And then I'm torn because I have Carson Steele, Scary Terry and Khalil Shakir.
Khalil Shakir. That's the dude you're playing because the Ravens' pass defense is the worst in the league. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Khalil Shakir has been thrown the ball 27 times. You know how many catches he has? 27. He's caught every pass that's been thrown his way this year. He is one of the most consistent players in fantasy right now. Khalil Shakir is the play.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, isn't that a crazy stat? Like no drop passes? That is a Larry Fitzgerald kind of stat right there.
Allen's favorite target, I think.
I think not only is he his favorite target, I think his speed and his ability to get open with that quickness, that is really attractive. Keon Coleman's not that kind of player. They don't have anyone else who has that kind of skill set. So he's got good chemistry with Allen, and he offers a skill set that isn't available anywhere else on the offense. I really like where he's positioned on that team right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I have one more quick one. I'm sorry about
Sure.
that. Life or death, are you playing Brian Robinson or Devin Singletary tonight?
Damn. That's a tough one, too. I really like both of them. I'll go Devin Singletary because the matchup is so good. The Cowboys are the worst run defense in the league. For the same reason I love Shakir, I've got to love Devin Singletary because it's like if they're playing the worst team in the league at that defensive spot, how do I not take that player who's going up against that defense? So I like Brian Robinson Jr. to get a touchdown. Devin Singletary is going to be the play for me, even if it's a tough one to stomach.
And do you think Brian Robinson would be a good play over James Conner or Bijan? I know Bijan has a tough matchup.
Bijan's got a tough matchup. James Conner against the Commanders' run defense. Again, Commanders are bad against the pass. They're better against the run. So, yes, Devin Singletary is still the start for me. Who was the other one you mentioned?
Yeah, I was asking if Brian Thomas...
Yeah, Brian Robinson would be the start. Brian Robinson's the start over James Conner. Yep.
Okay, boss. Thank you so much.
You have a great one. We'll talk again soon. Let's get to our next caller. It's going to be Sam I Am. Sam I Am is next up on the line. Let's see what Sam I Am wants to talk about. Sam, what's good?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
How can I help you?
What are your thoughts on getting rid of the Texans defense and picking up Fields for quarterback?
If you have another defense to play, I like it because I think Justin Fields is going to have a good game against the Colts. The Colts are the second worst run defense in the league, and I think Justin Fields could run all over them on Sunday.
Okay, good deal. And what are your thoughts on Aubrey, the kicker for Cowboys? You think he's going to be
He's the best kicker in football. He is the best kicker in football. It's not even close. I would take his player prop bets. I think he'll go over 1.5 field goals. He is one of the only players in fantasy right now who is a true set it and forget it. I don't care who he's playing. I don't care what the matchup is. As long as that dude's healthy, Brandon Aubrey is an automatic start. He's probably one of 5 fantasy players I'd say that about. He is a lock it in. Don't change it. Don't think about it. Just start him every week.
And last one.
I mean, when he's hitting 65 yarders like it's nothing, like that's how you got to treat it. So
that's pretty sharp. Do you think CMC is done for the year?
Yep, I think CMC is in a whole world of trouble. The line I've been telling people Sam I Am is right now, I would set his over-under on total games played this year at 5.5, and I would take the under. If he sees the field this year, it'll only be for a couple of weeks. I'm worried about that Achilles. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses the whole season. I don't have anything to conclusively say that. I'm just taking the pieces of evidence that I see, and he looks like he is in big trouble. I don't want anything to do with CMC this year.
Okay, great, man. I appreciate you.
Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Let's get to our next caller. Hawkeye is going to be next up on the line. Let's see what Hawkeye wants to talk about. Hawkeye, what's good?
Oh, not much. I have a problem with my flex.
Okay.
Right now, I got Bixby in there, but I got Pollard, Moss, Tank Dell.
Moss. Moss is a good play. Moss is a great play. Moss has to be the play.
Moss. Okay. Now on my running backs, I have Connor and Cooks.
Both are bad matchups this week. Both are bad matchups. So I would honestly try to sit both.
Sit both of them, huh?
I mean, James Cook is facing the best run defense in the league. The Baltimore Ravens give up an average of 50 rushing yards per game. That is way too good to start James Cook against.
Okay, so I got Dobbins and Pollard.
I would start Pollard. I would start Pollard. Who is the running back I said to start a moment ago?
Moss.
I would start Moss and Pollard as my 2 running backs, and I would put a different position in the flex. A wide receiver.
Dale's the only one I got besides Parkinson, the tight end.
So it's James Cook. Who are the options I have other than Moss and Pollard? James Cook, Tank Bigsby, and who? James Conner? I'd probably go James Conner in that spot. In the flex.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Have a good one, Hawkeye. We'll talk again soon. Next caller up on the line is going to be Hurricane. Hurricane is next up on the line. Let's see what Hurricane wants to talk about. Hurricane, what's good?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, so I got 2 questions. I'm 3-0 here, so I'm looking to keep it going. Pretty much, I'm between my flex spot right now with Keenan Allen and Jennings.
I'm going Jennings, just barely. I like the matchup a lot.
Okay. And I'm going Kyler this week because I think I like his matchup a little bit better than Jalen Hurts. Yes, I have 2 good quarterbacks, but my team drops off after that.
Kyler would be the play just barely. Yep.
Yeah, but so I have Akers, and I picked up with my waiver Braylon Allen. So if Akers, what I'm torn on is Mixon's not going to play likely. Do I start Akers over Allen? If Pierce still plays, does that affect it?
It doesn't affect it. Cam Akers is the number 1 guy when Joe Mixon doesn't play.
So go with Akers?
Just barely. The problem is I really like the run matchup. The Broncos are a great pass defense. They are not good against the run, not nearly as good. So, I mean, they're not awful, but they're not as good. So it's a tricky one. But yeah, Braylon Allen is just too much of a backup. I think I go Cam Akers by a slim margin.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you. And I think game script, I don't know why I keep putting in my head that in that Denver game, I have a feeling the Jets are going to run the ball a lot.
Oh, I think so too. No, I think you're right. That's why it's like you're hearing it. I'm having the same reaction, which is I think Allen's actually a sneaky good play this week. I just don't think he's good enough.
I 100% agree with you on that. That's okay. Well, you answered my questions. Those were all the ways I'm leaning as well. So
all right. Let's get it, Hurricane. Be safe out there.
All right, you as well. Bye-bye.
Let's get to our next caller. It's going to be Garrett Irvin. Garrett Irvin's next on the line. Warning, I'm probably going to stop the show pretty soon. It's almost 2 a.m. my time, so final few calls, everyone. Final few calls. Garrett Irvin, what's good?
Hey, man, I'm just sitting here hoping my Cowboys can pull something off. They've already got
me too. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I put enough money on them on the money line tonight to make me a Cowboys fan. So let's go, boys.
Yeah, I've got one main question. Who would you start between Ramondre Stevenson and oh my God, now I'm drawing a blank. Ramondre Stevenson and Rashad White. There you go.
I'd go Rashad White just barely. It's the matchup for me.
Okay, that sounds good. That's all I got for you, man. I'll let you get back to it.
All right, Garrett. Thanks for the call. Next caller up on the line is going to be Ed. Ed is going to be the next caller up on the line. We're taking callers who haven't been on yet. They're the next ones up. We're trying to get to people who haven't been on the line. Getting the spinning wheel of death, though, on this one. So might not be able to take this call. We haven't had an issue connecting in a while, so Ed, you got a bad connection. Sorry you had to wait on hold for a bad connection. Hop back on with a better connection. We'll get to you. Braden S. Pace. Braden S. Pace is going to be the next one on the line. Braden, what's good?
I got a question for 2 questions.
Sure.
One for tight end. Would you start Andrews, Auten, or Laporta?
It's going to be Andrews just barely. I don't like it. I want to say Laporta, but the matchup is so tricky. I'll say Andrews just barely.
Okay, and then Andrews, that's tough. Okay,
Yeah.
And then flex, I got Christian Kirk or Christian Watson.
If Jordan Love is back, Christian Watson. If it's Malik Willis, sit Christian Watson.
All right, That's all I need, man. Thanks so much.
Have a good one. Taking only a few more calls because it's 2 a.m. here and I'm almost wiped the hell out. Let's go to Adam, though. Adam's a subscriber. Oh, Adam, you dropped on us. We had you and then you dropped on us. All right, we lost Adam on that one. Let's go to the RJ. The RJ has been sharing the channel like a mofo. He's been freaking awesome. He's been supporting the show. The RJ, what's good?
Yo, what's good, man?
Appreciate all the shares, dude.
Yeah, I heard that it boosts the algorithm, so...
It does, and I'm very appreciative. That is definitely something we value, so thank you for doing that.
For sure, trying to get more people in here for you.
You're the best.
So I'm struggling with who I need in my flex this week. So I picked up Rashawn Johnson. I have Christian Kirk, Romo Dunze, Rashawn Johnson, and Dennis Rodman.
You said Dennis Rodman?
Yeah. I think, or DeMarcus Robinson.
I was about to say Dennis Rodman. When did basketball get into this play?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hit me with that again one more time. Rashawn Johnson, Roma Dunze would be the two I'd play from what I heard, but I want to make sure I'm not missing any other names. Give them to me again.
Yeah, Christian Kirk or I can't say his name because I'll say.
Yeah. I got you. DeMarcus Robinson going up. The Rams going up against the Bears. I think I'm doubling up on the Bears. I think I'm going Rashawn Johnson, and I think I'm going Roma Dunze. And the only reason I'm willing to say that is because the Rams defense sucks. Rams defense is bottom 5 in both the run and the pass. So I actually feel okay taking the Bears' run and pass offense.
Okay, because I have Devontae Smith, and I'm not sure if he's going to play, but I'll probably throw Roma Dunze in there and then Rashawn Johnson on my flex.
Right. I think that's the right play, the RJ.
And then do you think I have Kyron Williams as my RBE too? I was wondering, do you think playing him against my Bears defense is bad? Should I pick up a different defense?
The only reason I don't think it's bad is because, one, I don't think he's going to have a big yardage game. I think he's going to get a touchdown, but I don't think he's going to have a big yardage game. And the Rams' offensive line is banged up. So I actually think the Bears are going to get some sacks. Is it great to start your running back against your own defense? No. But I also can kind of justify it enough for you to play both spots.
Okay, for sure. I just needed a second opinion on that. And then my last question. So I'm in a 12-man. I have Patrick Mahomes and Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels this week.
My flex, you heard that's kind of struggling. So you think I should end up trading Pat Mahomes and somebody else for a strong flex? Or
The answer is probably yes. I really wish you could keep both of them and play them in tandem depending on the matchups, because I think Mahomes is going to ultimately evolve into an MVP candidate, and I think Jaden Daniels is going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. But if you said right now I need to trade one to get value at other positions, I trade Mahomes. There's no way I'm trading Jaden Daniels right now.
Okay, I think I'm gonna wait a week or a couple weeks to see how Rashawn Johnson does, because if he can take over that backfield, I'm pretty sure he's already starting. If he can take over, maybe that'd be a solid flex for him.
I totally agree with you, and I think that's a good strategy. Don't rush to a trade.
All right, I appreciate it, man.
Have a great one, RJ. Next caller we're going to take is going to be Adam. Adam had a bad connection last time. We want to make sure we help him out. Adam, what's good?
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for staying on late with us.
Of course.
I'm in a 14-man league. I have Kyler, Kamara, Dobbins, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Dalton Kincaid. Little to no bench beyond that.
But that's a solid starting lineup. That's a really good solid starting lineup. So
I'm just scared, I guess. I have Jalen Warren, Blake Corum.
Jalen Warren's a great start this week. Jalen Warren is a phenomenal start this week. Just a warning.
Okay. I'm just wondering if I shouldn't offload someone like Kyler or Malik Neighbors if he doesn't have an awful game tonight, to try and pad in my running backs, because Dobbins and Kamara just scares the hell out of me.
I totally understand that. I totally get that. If you were going to trade one, I would trade Malik Neighbors. His value is so high, and do I really think he and Daniel Jones will sustain this for a whole season? Probably not. But I also understand you may be trading a top 10 fantasy wide receiver in the process. So all I would say is make sure you're getting adequate value back. If you're going to trade him, don't trade him at a discount because people don't think highly of him or don't think highly of the Giants. You need to rate him high enough where you're getting a good return for that trade.
I think I can get Gibbs for Neighbors in a 2.
Phenomenal. Would do it. That would be a great trade. Yep.
He's 0-3 and desperate, so if Malik Neighbors doesn't have the worst game of his life, ever.
And by the way, you could still probably do that trade because you can go, oh, well, Diggs is a good corner. You could justify it somehow.
Prime time, he's young. Right, okay.
That's a great deal for you, Adam.
Hell yeah, brother. Thanks, man. Appreciate you again. Enjoy Rome. We'll see you when you're back.
I can't wait. We'll talk again soon. We're going to take just a couple more callers. It's 2:05 in the morning my time. As it was just mentioned, I'm on a trip in Rome. But I still, come on, we have been live now. We've been live for 3 hours. What is this, an NFL Sunday live for 3 hours? We've been taking calls for 2 hours. Jeez, Butt Fumble Sports must love you guys. What's up, JTG? JTG's next on the line. JTG, what's good?
Hey, what's up? I don't really have a question. I just want to say I love what you're doing, man. Keep it up. I see your hard work and dedication out here.
What an awesome call. What a great way to end my evening. That's going to be my last call. JTG just made my night. Working hard here in Rome, 2:06 in the morning, and you're still getting love from the fans back stateside. Man, if that's how I got to go out, that's how I want to go out. Thank you for that kind comment. Thank you for supporting the show. Thanks for being with us. Did you guys just have fun or what? I certainly did. I am exhausted. I just had a 10-course Michelin star meal for dinner, and I came back to my Airbnb and talked fantasy football for 3 straight hours. I am tired, I am exhausted, and I am the happiest guy in the world because fantasy football, NFL Week 4 is officially here. I so appreciate you guys. If I don't say it enough, thank you for joining. Thank you for following. Thank you for supporting the show. If you guys didn't watch, we'd be nothing. We'd just be a dude talking sports. Thank you for making this the best community of sports fans on all of social media. If you didn't get your call answered, if you didn't get your question answered, I'm so sorry. I did the best that I could, but that said, we will be back tomorrow, or in my case, later today, because it is Friday my time. But we will be back answering more of your questions at 4:30 Friday afternoon, okay? 4:30 your time. If you're on the East Coast of the United States, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, I will be back live, okay? So if you didn't get your question answered, we will be back at 4:30 EST on Friday afternoon. I hope you guys enjoy Thursday Night Football. I hope you get the most out of it possible. I cannot wait to talk to you guys again tomorrow. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great week. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be a great life. Why? Because existence is amazing. I hope you guys have the best night. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will catch you guys on Friday afternoon. Until then, enjoy your night, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye, everybody.